All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the True Perspective on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Rumble. We are full house tonight. All five of us are here. The True Perspective with Meg, Magan, and Joe Brilliant from Renegade Minds. Joshua Joseph. Sorry if I'm saying the full government's out here. Hold on, I gotta get the. Let me fix the. Here we go. All right. Take this. Oh yeah. I'll turn the mics up.
Yep, gotcha.
How's that?
Yep.
Mic check, mic check, mic check. We're all good?
Hell yeah.
Give me a mic check over there.
Check, check.
Pete, thank you. Mic check.
Check.
Check. All right. Yes. So we're live. Thank you all for tuning in. Once again, the True Perspective. This show is going to be a little bit, maybe not. The topics are going to be directed. As you see on the hashtag, we were just talking off air really quickly about Agenda 2030. A lot of this stuff kind of is encapsulated within Agenda 2030, but certainly as the conversations flow on this show, you know how it goes. It goes either direction. We're all brewed up tonight with some, what do we have here? Cheese and
Look, conspiracy theories and cheese, man.
Conspiracy theories and cheese. Love it. But yeah, so like we were all talking off air about Alex Jones, about COVID, about Agenda 2030, transhumanism, artificial intelligence, God being, would you say God being externalized?
Yeah.
Someone said that. Someone said God being externalized, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So all of these topics, we've been kind of chatting online, through Facebook message, and trying to. Well, this is the first show, so obviously there's all the targeted topics that we're going to get into. Like I was saying earlier, kind of the stuff that I wanted to get into was like the UFO, UAP, artificial intelligence, because I think it all ties in together. And when you said God being externalized, that also ties in with that too. So what's my point here? So yeah.
It's all connected.
It is all connected. And Agenda 2030, Agenda 2045 goes into all of these things, especially with artificial intelligence and what we're seeing, and how COVID came in and boosted all of these legislations and these procedures to kind of get people on board, which we were talking about. Someone was saying, I don't know, that it might have been that may have been a test. And I said, I think the H1N1 Ebola scares and bird flu and all that stuff has been the test to get people associated to this, this disease factor, this epidemic factor. And then someone or someone's decided to pull the trigger. And I think it was half a blank and half a loaded round, where they didn't. And I think, Joe, if you wanted to go into that too a little bit, where you had said that it was radicalizing people, and I think I had said off air that that I don't think they expected people to become to become aware of what was going on with all of the you're forcing people to get a vaccine and all that stuff. So
Was it a vaccine?
yeah, or it wasn't a vaccine. That's right. It wasn't a vaccine. That's right. Chemical weapon. Sorry about that.
So, can I just add something to that? Because I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
COVID was like a myriad of things. I don't think it was just a test. I think you're right. We've had other tests. But I think that their Agenda 2030 was behind a little bit more than they would have liked, right? Because, I don't know, something happened, right?
Yeah.
And pushed everything back. Somebody didn't get in office, somebody else did, and it didn't go according to plan. Is a thought process, right? And then to meet Agenda 2030, our entire economic system has to collapse. And what did COVID do? COVID completely destroyed the economy, because the goal in the end is to have only two classes. The middle class has to go away. The destruction of the middle class has been a goal for a very long time. That's a big part of Agenda 2030 and everything going on. So, I do believe COVID was a big, for a lot of people who were more asleep, a wake up to fight back, which we're very lucky that we do have the amount of people that we have who have fought back this whole time, because we'd be a lot further, I think, if we didn't.
Absolutely.
Those renegade minds
Yeah.
messing everything up.
Yeah, I know. Those renegade minds, those Alex Jones, those
Exactly.
truthers out there.
I think there's a lot to put together with how you guys started off with that back in history. If you go back to the outbreaks,
Yeah.
of these things, and to see a bigger picture within that, as you said, is that it's not like your parents saying, if you keep doing that, this will happen. If you keep doing that, this will happen. If you keep doing that, so what do you automatically start to acquire? There's a little bit of fear. You really, some people. I've had an old Italian family, grandparents, and they say, if you kids pinch each other, my grandmother, you can pinch anybody, you'll get cancer. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, right.
Ridiculous is that, right?
Right.
But guess what? As a kid, you're influenced by that comment, and you whether or not you really want to believe it, it's still the next time you go to pinch somebody, that runs right through your head.
Can I ask that an Italian thing? Because I ain't never heard
I
that before.
don't know. It might be. I had some crazy grandparents. That's all I know.
My grandparents, you would say, if you keep like if you had like this mean face on, it's gonna stay that way.
Yeah,
Or if you sit too close to the TV, you go blind.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, if you
It's
jerk
never
off,
gonna
your
happen.
hand's gonna fall off.
But what we
right?
do is we've established that thought process. Now it's in your psyche, and so if you apply that to these little outbreaks, H1N1, swine flu, whatever is over the decades, I think it's a step of them just trying to see and gauge where we're at and how we feel, and the beta test is COVID.
Yeah.
Now we're going to see how well we instilled fear by how quickly they react to what we think they should be doing. Right? You got the CDC, you got Fauci and the NIH and all that kind of stuff, and they're coming out, and the minute they say something, people are like, oh, go this.
Joe
Then all of a
Furlan
sudden,
for the win right here.
Yeah.
That's what I meant when I said it was a test.
Yeah.
They were testing how good their fear mongering was working.
And listen
Thank
to
you.
Fauci. Then masks work, masks don't work, masks
Right.
work. This, right? Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to go do that.
Right.
And they move the goalpost, and every time they do, all the masses go, and they're gauging what part of the masses, how many of them are just going with the tide as it moves and goes and in and out, and the ebb and flow. And now they've got who they know they can control. And when they found out that it wasn't as many as they thought, as many as they wanted, I think that's where you stumbled on COVID. I think it's where COVID started. Just my take.
Oh yeah.
But that's where I think it is.
I wanted to say too, while people go on social media and stuff like that, there's these troll farm or these bots or whatever. Either they're real people behind them, or they're just like some artificial intelligence run by. Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, of course.
But there are these people that are getting all this information. I really do think that a lot of these people that come on some of these comments and all this stuff aren't they're either aren't real, or they're
they're
paid
AI.
to. Or they're
There's a certain amount of AI.
Absolutely.
Of course.
And there's already information or evidence of, I can't cite the source off top, but I know that I know Russia has been known for having these troll farms or whatever, these bots or whatever.
They're not the only ones.
Yeah, and they're not the only ones. I'm pretty sure the U.S. government is doing that. Absolutely, 100% they're doing it. China's doing it. Everyone that is technologically advanced to that level is definitely doing it. And the three major ones. Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
So one thing that I've actually caught on to, like, it's very interesting, and I'm a reader, so I like to read things, and I get ads in Facebook and everything like that, and the AI generated stories and the AI generated like things that people are throwing up, so many of them are from China. It's so crazy. You know what I mean? So I definitely think it's all of them.
I don't know if you guys are aware about China buying up farmland above military bases and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just for the record out there, it's not Chinese Americans doing it. It's the CCP.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's Chinese Communist Party, for anyone that's not aware of what that is. It's
The CCP is also the number one farm landowner in the United States.
Yes.
Yes.
It's not about where they're buying it; it's how much they're buying.
And Bill Gates.
They are the number one farmland owner in the United States. That's a scary thought.
That is a scary thought.
Yeah. And nobody talks about, like, everybody talks about the southern border, right? Everybody talks about the southern, and I get it. Like, especially when we talk about like World War III and everything, and talk about all that stuff. That's an important thing to add in, right?
Yep.
But nobody talks about what's happening up at the Canadian border.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people from China coming across that
mic
border.
just in the middle. Yeah, there you go.
There's so many of them.
Yep.
And nobody's talking about it. And they're even like, I mean, I've heard things about them running drills and stuff. Like it's very interesting. So I think it's important to clarify that we are definitely, people don't like to think that we're in war yet, but we're definitely in an information war, and we've been in an information war for quite some time now. Like
2015.
I would say like 2015, 2014, we've been pretty I would beg to differ that it's been longer than that, because this is it the Smith and Mundit Act, I believe I probably just said that completely wrong, but it's it was an act that was in place to prevent our government from using propaganda against its own people. We've always been allowed to do it in other countries. It's blatantly allowed. Like, all the other countries know that we are like the kings of propaganda, except for the American people, apparently. But in 2012, Obama got rid of that. He made it so that that the government could use propaganda against us. And a lot of people don't know that. And I think that that's an important thing to take into consideration, which is, you said in the beginning, like Alex Jones, why he's important. I have never been an Alex Jones fan. I'm a fighter against all this tyranny. Two ways to control people: fear and anger, right? Alex Jones pushes a lot of anger,
of course,
and that bothers me a little bit, right? Like, so because I recognize that ability to control people that way, and he also says things certain ways that bothers me too, that we could talk about in a little bit, that makes me question controlled opposition. Because I know we're in an information war, right? Like, so if they don't have control over CNN, they've lost how many viewers? Like, you know what I mean? Like Fox, even they're just as bad guys.
They're just dwindling.
Right. I hope if you're listening.
Yeah, Fox is just as bad as
it's all of them. The only one that I will give the time of day, as far as like, is OAN, and that's because they've been kicked off everything, like, because they just report.
Yeah. RT News used to do that too, but now I think they're controlled opposition.
But they were actually really important there for a little while too, because you have a lot of the world, the World War concept going on with Russia and everything, and they were actually reporting really good on Russia, because when that was like really first beginning, we were digging into it pretty hard, and we watched a lot, of the Russian news,
like the
Ukraine and Poland and like all that
journalism. That literally shows what the news is perpetrating is inaccurate. And these are people that you're citizens. You're a Ukraine citizen, and you're listening to this woman explain how it's actually happening. What are you going to deny? How are you going to deny that? And that's it's scary, because when you said we're in an information war, we are, but
absolutely,
and we've been that way for very, 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 very long time. But what's changed is technology.
Yep.
So during the Truman era, when the Watergate thing, you didn't think they suppressed information? You didn't think they hid the stuff that they're trying to hide now?
Of course.
The difference is they didn't have what we have right now. We don't have they didn't have the technology. So while you and I say this is the news, there's nowhere else to get news. There's no such thing as a digital recording and I can go live and there's the internet. There's nothing. It's what the newspaper says, it's what the TV says. Other than that, if you're not there, it didn't happen. Now you have the opposite. And while I think they tried to use it as a tool in their favor, I think in a lot of ways it's backfiring enormously.
Yes.
Because you're getting the slew of people that are no longer the sheep and saying, well, this is kind of fishy. Why are we not just taking the news word for word anymore? Why are we starting to question? And now we get demonized for questioning, and now we're conspiracy theorists. And it's the very human nature, the basis of human nature is to question. And that's how you advance. You don't advance in evolution without questioning.
Right.
And you question the things that have already been answered. You still question them because as we evolve, some things don't make sense anymore. Some things we used to do aren't right anymore. I had a friend who was a scientist. He said one of the most profound things that stuck with me forever. He said science isn't based on fact. Science is based on hypotheses that have not yet been disproven. Everything is a hypothesis that has not yet been disproven. That's what science is. So that's why you can never say the science is settled. It's never settled. It never will be settled. Because as we evolve, so does the environment. So does the everything about what we live with will. Our food, whether it's genetics or if it's just a more pure version of what we should be eating, and depending on which way evolution goes, that's all variable, and it all changes. And I think that's why an information war is only going to get worse.
It's going to get more intense.
Yeah,
it's going to get way more intense. It's going to get harder to. I think, in my opinion, it's going to get harder to achieve. Especially the newer generation that's coming in, it's going to be harder for them to achieve validity in the information that they're coming across. For instance, if what you were saying, if we go back 10, 15, maybe 10, 15 years ago, you could Google just about anything that pertains to, mercury in vaccines or aluminum in the being found in soil that wouldn't ever be found in soil. Chemtrails. 10, 15 years ago, people would call you a crazy conspiracy theorist.
They still do,
and they still do. But now it's actually been coming out as an acceptable thing.
Oh, you mean the conspiracy theory you can actually see?
Yeah, right.
So,
exactly.
So before I got to give the mic up, I
Sure.
got one more thing to tie into the end because you got me thinking, and I'm saying to myself, all right, you said, where do you go when technology gets so advanced? How are you going to control the masses? How are you going to make people... Well, guess what? You just talked about it in the beginning. Agenda 2030. AI, the implants.
Yep.
Once they convince everybody to do that, they can feed them any news they want, and you're a robot. After that, you're just a robot.
Like, anybody who thinks that they're going to have control of their mind, it's going to be a hive mind. They can literally shut off your car with the click of a mouse button now. You think they can't do that
CIA,
to anything you put in your head?
The CIA, there's I'm trying to remember the damn interview right now. I do believe that if you go, I think if you actually go on their website, that there's a source in there. Anyone that's out there in the comments that ends up hearing this, you're probably going crazy. Like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. They have the technology on being able to remotely control all the vehicles that we have, especially all the more recent vehicles that we have. They can remote control what they do, or they can shut it off. For instance, what's that? What was that? That emergency system, Stars?
All-Star. All-Star. I have it in my car.
Yeah.
Like
All-Star.
it's OnStar, not all.
Yeah.
But if somebody steals my car and it's in a police chase, the police can
boop.
turn off my car.
Yeah.
In what year was it? Whenever there was like a huge car shortage, was it 2020 or was it 2021?
It was through the pandemic. It was like a year or two after the pandemic hit.
It was either 2020 or 2021 or
the chips,
whatever.
They couldn't get the chips.
But that's what those chips are.
Oh, you know what it was? You know what it was? It was
Evergreen and all that.
It was Evergreen blocking the Panama Canal.
Okay.
And it was the supply chain shortage.
Yep.
And that was around 2020.
2020.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they were the not the embargoes, but all the ships, they were stalling them out. Remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Food products, all that stuff were being stalled out.
So now you've got chips in your head, right? You've got, what are they pushing for? The New World Order, global what? Global healthcare, global income.
Global
right?
income.
Wait, can we just say centralization of everything?
Right. So now, what happens? They can shut your car off. They want to go all electric cars. They want to tax you per mile, right? They're already beta testing that out. You have rules now, not a freedom. You don't have the Constitution. You don't have the Bill of Rights. You have rules. These rules need to be abided by. Why? Because you got to protect your carbon footprint. You got to protect the environment. You can't use too much electricity. Well, when we see that you're not doing that, if you're one of these rebel browsers that don't want to take it to chip, say, but you're instituted into this whole scenario, shut you off. You can't eat. You can't go anywhere. They've got you in every different way. So
we're going to be the people living under the city in
the slave
what's
to the
that? What's that movie with not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Kurt Russell, is it?
No, not Kurt Russell. Although
like
that's a
Mad
good one.
Max.
Escape from L.A.
Is it
Escape from LA.
But
Yeah.
but
Dread?
I'm,
Is it
I'm
where they live
no,
underground?
I'm
right?
thinking of Wesley Snipes and but the who played Dredd? What's his damn name?
Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone. But what's the damn movie?
It's called Judge Dredd.
Judge Dredd.
No, it's
Oh, you're right.
It's called,
you're right. Yeah.
This is the movie guy.
Demolition Man.
Demolition
Man.
Man.
There we go.
Correct.
We're gonna be people living on the under the city. What's his name? There, he's a comedian. Doesn't matter. We got far enough to the movie title. But yeah, well, that it seems as though that's what it's going to be like. Where that's where we're heading. We are going to be the others. I'm not getting anything implanted in me if it comes to that time, and I damn sure don't want my family having that. So that's exactly what it's going to
And I
turn
think
into.
you'll be surprised the amount of people that don't want that won't
Right.
get that.
Yeah.
Right now, they're trying to do the blue states, the liberal side.
Yeah.
They're all for it. There's Starbucks is already doing it. The guy's got the chip in his hand.
Yep, Amazon,
And he
Amazon, and
does
Whole
it over the
Foods.
thing. It
Yep.
has a couple
What?
of pockets. Oh yeah, you didn't hear about that?
No.
Yeah, there's a chip that you get in your hand. That
Not a tortilla
I forget
chip.
What
who's-
kind of an idiot would you
Wait a
have
minute,
to
this
be
is in
to
America?
say
Bill,
that?
Not
I
a
think it's a
tortilla
Bill
chip.
Gates thing. I might be wrong.
Oh
If
my
anyone's
God.
out there who's listening and want to correct me on that, but it is one of the high tech guys out there. I don't think it's Musk, but it's a chip they put in, and it
Not
has
yet.
all your personal data on it, your card and all that, and you put it over the thing.
There are trials for this in like Europe or something like that.
There's
They,
Starbucks is actually
China has
It-
has rolled that out also.
they also have a social credit score.
Yeah,
like,
I was
hope
gonna say
everybody
that too
understands-
when he was talking about rules and all that
China's
stuff.
been
That's
doing that. That's been part of their history.
But we need to
absolutely.
understand that our
Does someone
diaper
mind-
in chief
Does anyone
is
mind
bought
grabbing me
and
a
paid
beer
for.
out of the
No.
mini fridge?
We're
By
100%
China. I
appreciate
that.
that.
Way. Of course. Yeah.
It should be one of these are in there. It's a Whalers.
True's over here like it's getting deep. I need another
Yeah.
beverage.
I started before you guys. I'm sorry.
Just really,
I just started one.
my cat is all over my husband's ass.
There's also some flavored ones in there. I know that there's a whole mixture in there. I'll come over there. Hold on. All right. Sorry about that. I used to have the fridge over here. I probably should put
I was
it back
gonna
over
say
there.
it looks really
Thank you.
different.
Thank
in
you so
here.
much. I appreciate that. Yeah.
It looks good.
Because
I like it.
last time I had it, I was explaining to Megan, Josh, off air. It was the other way.
Yeah.
We were faced this way, so
Yeah. No, it's like a full-on round table right now. It's pretty cool.
stuff falling out over there.
I got it.
No,
Sorry about that.
He can't be trusted with anything.
I apologize. Making someone else get me beer. Cheers. Appreciate it.
Cheers
Cheers.
Cheers.
So that's-
Cheers.
to freedom.
To freedom. Freedom.
Sober Nancy over here had too much fun on the beach.
No, I just don't want to be an asshole. I'll drink with you after. No, this is being recorded.
Yeah.
My bad behavior
that's the
could.
fun
Yeah,
part.
exactly.
This is a
I'll
no
stick with my
judgment free
water.
zone.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the social credit score with China, that to me has always been like a really concerning thing because I just feel here's the thing with America. I never anticipated. Well, I'm not surprised, but I never really anticipated the level of demoralization of our democracy and our republic to the extent that it's gone to now.
Well, I don't think most people even understand that we're not even
Absolutely.
a democracy.
Yeah,
we are
exactly.
a constitutional republic
Constitutional
that
republic.
behaves in democratic ways
Yeah.
with the illusion that we have a democratic process for elections.
Mm-hmm.
Without that illusion, we're not anything near a democracy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to me, it's quite insane that the side of tolerance is absolutely the most intolerant when it comes to opposing views.
That's just toxic positivity. That's what they've been trained to do.
Toxic
Absolutely.
Toxic
and it's,
positivity.
you're not allowed to say negative things about the president because I remember 15 years ago when that started, if you said negative things about the government, you were not a patriot. I don't know. That was
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Why don't we even just
Yep.
look at the term conspiracy
Right.
theory and let's talk about that for a second, considering our entire show is based on conspiracy theories at this point.
Yep.
I hope everybody knows that coin was literally turned by the CIA,
Yep.
who we've learned are complete
And during the
garbage.
JFK.
And it was
Right.
JFK.
They are the conspirators.
And they
of course
did
they
it.
would.
And the
name it.
files
Right.
have been released.
Yep.
And it was proven that they did it.
Mm-hmm.
So they made that term to cover their own ass.
Mm-hmm.
And now I wear it like a badge of honor because it.
We've been right. They're all
We're
right.
batting
Right,
for
exactly.
1,000 at this point. It's
That's
insane.
That's
Yep.
actually been the beautiful thing about the because I never got offended on the whole conspiracy theorist thing. I was like, whenever anyone would ever call me out to that, I'm like, do you not think? Do you not question anything? Like, you're just gonna get spoon fed everything.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Spoon-fed.
You're right. We got you. We got you.
Spoon fed everything. I'm on my second beer.
No, I talk like that without beer,
Oh my
so you're
goodness.
good.
I'm
My
older
mind
than
goes way
everybody
faster
here,
than my
but
mouth.
Do you guys remember? My family always said, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Exactly.
been the saying for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And we've been, of course, we're right. This is what's happening, and you don't need to read books about it to
Yeah.
be.
It's not
all you
rocket
need to do,
surgery.
Right, is
You
be
just
an
have to pay
observer.
attention.
Right. They're trying to take away your guns.
Yes.
They're taking away your right to not have medical procedures. They're socializing medicine
But they'll
right in
affirm
front
your
of our
care.
eyes. Right. It's
They'll affirm your care.
right. It's crazy.
Somebody in the chat.
Not in the way that you want to.
Somebody
Right.
in the chat on Facebook said that their 6-year-old was being shown CNN in school. You know, that's a whole other thing. They're
Really?
completely indoctrinating our children with garbage.
Oh, here we go.
You know, that's crazy.
And CNN is literally government propaganda.
Yeah,
100%.
Communist
100%.
News Network,
Every-
ladies
Right.
and gentlemen.
Every
If your kids
major
are still going to public
communist-
school, you're
communist news
crazy.
network, yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Every major news outlet, like literally every major news outlet that is controlled by who the investors are: George Soros,
Oh, listen.
Bill Gates.
There are names that you don't even
Pfizer.
know, though.
Yeah.
Like
Blackrock,
there's a bunch of
Black-
Swiss.
What is it?
Pfizer's one of the biggest sponsors.
Pfizer?
Of all the news.
Oh, yeah.
Look at all the
yeah.
news. Sponsored
Yes,
by
yes,
Pfizer.
yes,
Sponsored by
yes,
Pfizer.
sponsored
You
by
think that
Pfizer.
they're not going to tell
The
them
number
what?
one
Yeah.
sponsor of news media is Pfizer.
100%. CNN being top of the line of that too. I mean,
Fox.
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
fund Fox.
You know,
So that's the thing about the whole controlled opposition thing right there.
It's not even so.
Because
People want to argue Republican and Democrat, and
There's
and,
not
and I'm
two
gonna
parties.
make Josh happy for a second. There are not two parties.
No.
It is one
And it's been
uniparty.
wild
It is
now.
the government against us, and
Absolutely.
it's not even the government. It's the government in this country. There
It's
are
the globalists
people.
controlling our
Globalists,
government.
There are
yeah,
people
globalists, yes.
way above
100%.
the people's names that you know. There are people's names that you do not know, and every war we go into is a banker's war, and both sides of every war are funded by the same people.
Absolutely.
They're going to win no matter what. And then when you keep that in mind, also understand that history is written by the victors. So every piece of history that you were ever just like shoved down your throat in school, like it's so hard for me to think about school and what we were taught. Like
Yeah.
knowing that like the Rockefellers are the ones who fund these school books for medical, for anybody in the medical field, for college books. It doesn't matter if somebody is coming out with books and like this is cheaper. They're going to undersell them so that their books come in, and those are the people that's what they're taught. And it's funded by people who push big pharma. It's funded by people who own big pharma. Think about the repercussions of that. Talk about conflict of interest. You're never going to have a fair system when the people who are profiting from the drugs that they're giving you are also funding your education. They're trained to give you what they want you to get, right? And that goes into your whole 2030 agenda. It goes into the AI agenda all day long. It's all a big process. And when you realize that those people it's the 1% that is controlling everything.
Absolutely.
And they're doing it in a way that's really, really brilliant. Like, people talk about Hitler, and he's a horrible person, but he was fucking brilliant. Like, just what a mind, right? And there, again, I'm just going to say history is written by the victors, and I'm going to leave it there for now. But when you have that power over an entire global population, and by power, I mean, do you guys realize that we can't produce anything almost on our own without other countries? Like, it is so
Right. We used to.
intermingled. Like,
But are there
even
really
even
other
our
countries,
military,
Megan, at this point?
they're not.
They're
They're not.
not.
But that's the
Right.
point, right? That's the
So-
point that I'm
That's
trying
a
to
myth.
make. Is because they're
Exactly.
controlled by the same people.
Exactly.
We need parts from China for our election machines. Like what?
Right.
What? You're gonna ground a plane that has a Chinese part, but hey,
Boeing. Is that the?
yes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's
I have
just
s-
mind-boggling.
I have something. I just have a question on this too, because that's something that actually bothers the hell out of me, and it always has bothered the hell out of me. Is that the fact of the matter is? So for a while, America has been pretty much independent from everybody else. We would actually have things.
You mean for 4 years when
Well,
when
I'm
Trump
talking-
was in office?
Right. I'm talking before Bush Senior, maybe before
Talking about Reagan, maybe?
maybe before
Maybe.
Kennedy.
Reagan.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever been that
It's
independent.
been a
haven't
while.
been- so I think we just had a better trading system
Or a better illusion of the such.
There was
Correct.
also
What you
less
had was
technology.
you had the big three,
Yeah.
the Ford, GMC, GM,
Yeah.
and who was the other guy? Chrysler.
Chrysler.
You
Yeah.
had the big three. They brought us a lot of independence here because they were based in Detroit. Parts were made in, but not every part is. A lot of parts are made overseas, shipped here, and assembled here. So when they say made in the USA, that's not always accurate, and it hasn't been for a very long time. But it's been more than ever back in the day than it is now.
Right.
But yeah, so I think there was more independence back then
Right.
for us to be on certain things, but never solely independent by ourselves. I don't think ever, until I guess.
And the problem
if you look
I've-
far back is when the United States was founded.
Exactly.
yeah.
That's about
Yeah.
the only.
And the
time.
problem
Yeah.
I've always had with that now, like because all of our, so we have to get chips from other countries. We have to get chips for cell phones, for cars, for computers, for all this stuff from other countries. We don't even make them here. We don't even have the resources to make them here. As far as I know, we don't have cobalt mines. We don't have any of that stuff. So we outsource.
do, but it's not
Right, we don't
Yeah.
we don't use them. So going back to what you both were saying, when this lack of independency that America actually has, and we've been prided about being independent, when the
They
illusion is
masked
we're
that
actually
under
not,
the title of foreign affairs.
foreign
by the way.
affairs. So the thing that bothers me is that we have all of these wars. We police the entire globe, our government, rather, our military industrial complex, polices the entire globe and bombs the shit out of all of these other countries, apparently, most of the time for no reason at all. I mean, we can argue on if war has any place in the world of a civilized society at all. That might be an entirely different conversation, but
I don't think you'll get much of an argument.
right. But what
We'll never know the real reason, right, that we bombed
if
another
a country wanted to actually? The problem that I have with these globalist people is that if they really wanted to stick a knife in the back of America, is that they could just completely shut off the supply line. Why haven't they is my question. And
Because we're their fuel cells.
we're their
Well,
fuel
it's
cells.
because it's a global economy.
Let's be
There-
real.
yeah,
Let's be
that's-
real. Okay.
Well,
right.
it gets me to question is like, is World War III an actual thing?
No, it's not.
Is someone-
okay?
you know
so,
what I mean?
So
Is someone going to
again,
throw a nuke at their biggest buyer, at their
do
biggest seller?
nukes even exist?
Well, right.
Well,
Do
we
you
could
want to go down the
we could
conspiracy
go-
Exactly.
theories
We could
here,
go into
right?
that
Like,
too.
And that's
so
the other thing is, so they're all of this stuff that we're
good point.
talking about
Yep.
is the globalists taking away our ability to adapt and survive.
Mm-hmm.
But they're protecting their own ability to do that.
Of course.
So they're doing all of these things. We will never know their true agenda when they do a given thing.
Well,
but the overall agenda is control of the population,
I
right?
think they're
To
pretty
get,
good
like
at-
Megan
they're-
said, 2 separate classes, very small at the top and everybody else that works.
well, so I think we know their agenda, right?
We do.
because okay. Let's be real
We'll never
and
know what
understand
their
that we're dealing with a
strategic
cult,
point is.
right? They like to say that we're a cult because
Yep.
because I mean, guys, cults are really good at teaching you to think for yourselves, right? Because that's exactly what we're doing, right?
Yep.
They're a cult. It's not us. You know, and in their cult belief,
Rule number one of
my
cult,
belief,
think for yourself.
Right, exactly. It's so when people say I'm in a cult, I'm like, dude.
Oh, the critical thinkers
if,
cult?
if you
Yeah.
only
Critical
knew.
thinker cult.
one,
Yeah.
I am the you tell me to do something, I'm not doing it. Like it's just
Yeah, yeah.
it just don't tell me not to do something you want me to do.
You're a truth
Right.
seeker.
My
Hey,
husband
you
over
wanna know
here
the truth.
say
Right.
that again. So if these people are an actual cult, right? Like they legit just, I'm gonna say, I'm like, I hear feedback, and it's,
Oh, is it me?
yeah, no, it's my
Okay.
me.
No, it's over.
So if
Is your volume up?
Not anymore. Did it go away?
yeah, no, it did.
My bad.
So like they're in a legit cult, and in this, from what I believe, guys, this is my opinion, all right? They have to tell you what they're doing, right? So look at things like the Georgia Guidestones. Do you know what the Georgia Guidestones are? Right? It was I
What they
can't
were.
I can't thank you.
Yeah,
I
what
can't
they
tell
were.
you how happy I
Where'd
was
that
that
story
day. That was incredible, right? Like I don't think that was
Where'd that story go?
Yeah, I know,
awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, so for those who don't know, look
They
it
didn't
up.
do any
They were
investigation
destroyed.
on that one.
But they
Can I
literally
get one of
yes.
those? I just want to try one of these. Thank you so much.
They literally said, keep the population at a certain number, which I believe it was like 500,000 or,
Yes.
or, no, or is it
500 million, sorry.
I was going to say million. For a global population. I don't think people understand that the way they push the population thing and say that we are overpopulating the planet and our carbon is too much. What do trees need to survive? And what do we... Right? They need carbon. And what do trees produce that we need to survive? Oxygen. This world needs carbon. For people to actually think that our carbon imprint is a bad thing, again, go do some research and learn some basic,
Are you arguing that we're not overpopulated?
I think that when you look in the last 50 years at the decline in the reproductive process in this country and the numbers, we are decreasing dramatically.
Yeah, we are.
course.
There are, and then you look at the generations right now that aren't having kids. They're getting dogs or whatever, or people who
Or they're
like
getting sex
me.
change operations and becoming
thank you.
infertile.
I was
I'm
gonna get there.
Yeah.
Or people like me who have fertility issues based on I don't know, pharmaceuticals that we were told that were fucking good for us that weren't. Sorry, I'm cussing on your show.
No, you're good. No.
I
Free
have
speech.
I have a problem with that, right? Like, so I know so many women who are never going to have kids, either because they chose to or because they can't physically anymore, or biologically, whatever you want to say. And then you look at what they're doing to our children. So yes, my answer to you is our population is declining. It is not increasing, and we are in trouble.
And that's by design.
And one person who I don't always agree with, Elon Musk, also says the same
He does
thing.
say the same thing, yeah.
Well, he says he wants. I've heard some conservative thinkers say that they want 1 billion people in America, and the problem.
America?
Yeah,
It'll
they
never
want us to be a
happen.
superpower like China in the sense.
But
of,
it's not
in
gonna
terms of-
happen.
No, I'm just saying what they wanted, and
That's a lot of people.
I think our world is too overpopulated.
You think so?
That doesn't mean that I'm.
Don't Bill
aligned-
Gates us right
yeah,
now.
Yeah, That doesn't
Are
mean
you
I'm,
a eugenist person?
That doesn't mean I'm. No, I just mean one. Too many of us are living in a way that's too destructive to our environment and our world. I don't hear conservatives talk about this and they poo-poo that as a left thing. We've killed so much biodiversity. See, humans are not just like... Picture a human just walking in space with no environment. That's not what we are. There's an environment there, and we need biodiversity to
You're
live.
talking
live.
about like animals going extinct and all that stuff.
I mean, when you
detrimental.
kill, yeah. Well, there was at one point I remember hearing that you kill like so many species, hundreds of species per day. Not just rainforests; it's everywhere. That like you're killing your home. That's actually my beef with Elon Musk is that I'm like, you're talking about fucking Mars. Here, bro. I
Yeah.
want to have a healthy planet here, just like you want to have a healthy body to have babies, just like we want our kids to be healthy, so that like I'm pro baby and I'm pro life.
Yeah.
But well, I'm not
So-
pro life, but you know what I mean by that.
I think no, I agree with you. I agree that humans have been a detriment to
We're
many
a parasite.
to many things. We're a parasite to many things. We've annihilated whole species. There are species that are out there that no longer exist because we've killed them to extinction. We pollute. We do very gross things, not only just to the planet itself, but to each other. I totally agree with you on that. I literally have no argument against that. The fact is that I've also, we've also all seen, and I hope that we've also all have seen the other side of humanity that actually wants to try and mitigate that. I think that's where it really boils down to, is trying to find ways to where we're not destroying the planet, where we're actually I think we were on the cusp of a conversation off air where I don't know why, for whatever reason, when you had mentioned God,
Yeah,
they're trying to
God.
externalizing God and all that stuff. I think there's something to that. We've lost our way for a really, really, really long time.
Well,
like probably a lot longer than we even comprehend of how long and how far away we are from what we actually are. And I think that's why that we are in the position that we're in. We're warring with each other, and we're allowing complete psychopaths to be in control of all of these things, and we're annihilating our planet at the same time. Not all of us, but
No,
you
the
know.
ruling class is destroying the planet.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you
Well,
off,
They
Joe.
don't have
'Cause
we're
money
a
or
part of
resources.
that, though.
I disagree.
I didn't want to cut you
No,
off, Joe.
absolutely not.
I wanted to give you
Absolutely
Josh,
not.
Josh, hold on. So
or Josh, sorry.
So
Joe, Josh.
hey, the
Sorry.
Jays.
I'll
All right.
take, yeah,
Joe,
I'll take
he
both.
likes that. I think that. Yeah.
That doesn't bother me.
Hey, we're in a world where we pretend to be what we want to be. He identifies as Joe. He identifies as Josh. Whatever. Hey,
Okay.
no,
Here we
I'm
are.
just kidding. So
I'm a potato.
right. I appreciate what you're saying. I do. I'm gonna say that I disagree because I think it's fear that has driven that perspective. When you're in an information war, you're only privy to the information that you ingest, right? Like so what you ingest is your perspective. And do I think that we have done things? I have actually changed a lot in my perspective of I don't like people. I haven't changed in that respect, right? Like I just don't, guys. I love you, but I don't. I'm an animal person because you know what they think in the moment, and you don't have to worry about them stabbing you in the back later. Like it just is what it is. But I don't think people, as in us in this room and others like us, are the ones destroying this world. And I don't think that we're in an overpopulation risk. I think we are in an extreme detriment to the point of almost extinction, if you will, especially after COVID and the jabs that have now caused a lot of issues and that are going to continue. Look at the birth controls that cause issues, or putting your cell phone in your pocket that's right near your reproductive organs, or the laptop on your desk right near your reproductive organs. That's all by design.
All the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth
yeah,
and all
exactly.
that stuff, yeah.
My key words, by design, guys. It is absolutely by design. And those things are causing a huge detriment really, really quickly. The people who are destroying this country are the people who are putting solar wind energy in our oceans and threatening our oceanic wildlife. The people who are tearing apart forests for cobalt mines, for the Teslas, or for the solar panels that they want to put on their house because they think it's so great. I literally had the solar panel people don't come to my house no more.
No, me neither.
Ask him. They came up to me and I said, "You don't want to have this conversation with me?" And they're like, "Well, what do you mean? Solar panels are good, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "I'm not good for child enslavement and child
are
labor in other
stunned.
countries."
When you
He's
start
like,
talking to him, yeah, they're shocked.
we don't do that." And I'm like, "Do you?" He goes, "Are your batteries lithium?" And they're like, "I don't know." He goes, "Dude, you should do some research on your own product."
Yeah.
Right? So they don't come to my house no more. So that is the thing that is destroying the country. And what
They're about as worse as Jehovah's Witnesses. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know, when I was little, I called them Judas priests.
Yeah.
So funny. My mom thought that was so funny.
Judas
but
priests.
Yeah. Total contradiction, but whatever.
I hear you because I think maybe I'll make a distinction, or you're saying that there are people in power that are causing the maximum amount of harm, 100%. But we are consumers, contributors to what Daniel Quinn, who wrote a book called Ishmael that I have everybody check out. It's the book that kind of awakened me.
Daniel Quinn?
Yeah, Ishmael, when I was in my early 20s. He said, we live in a culture of maximum harm. What she's saying is correct, that they are the maximum harmers in this culture. But I drove in a car I drink this.
Sure.
I'm trying to look at this from more of a non-dual way.
So you're telling so do
I
you
agree
believe
with- I agree
that-
with you.
Do okay, but also do you believe that making plastic bags dangerous for Rhode Islanders to actually use in this state is helping?
Not in the way that they think it does.
Okay, all right.
And
I can accept that.
But I'm just saying that, like for instance, if let's say there was a revolution that says we're gonna live like subsistence living, we're gonna grow our food, we're not using this technology, we're gonna live in small communities, and we're gonna say fuck you to the globalists and all this other shit. This would go, dude, gone.
Do you not think that we already have the amount of land and resources to already do that?
I don't know.
Do you think we're because we do?
Okay.
Do you know there are vast parts of Russia, Texas, all over the world, places like that, Africa, where there's nothing, right? There's no people. And could there be people? Of course there could be people. So how are we overpopulating if there are vast expanses of land that nobody lives? And then before you answer that question, think about the fact that the globalists and the elites, right? Do you think they're happy interacting in the same areas as us? Do you think that they're happy seeing us on a daily basis? Or do you think that if you were them, you would be happier if the Goyim or the pieces of crap that you don't care about
Wow, Goyim, this guy. Just kidding.
are in 15-minute cities and you don't have to see them when you go to the beach?
Think Hunger Games.
Yeah, he wanted to say something. You wanted to get
Well,
on.
I there was one thing I wanted to go back to real quick, but it ties into what you guys are talking about, and you always use the term 5D chess, right? We need to look at every aspect of every conspiracy theory in that manner, in that faction. Okay, 5D chess. How do you play 5D chess when you're talking about environmental impact and overpopulation? Well, you combine the two problems, the ones they manufacture and the ones that are real. You combine them into a whole and say it's a global problem. All right, and for them to our carbon footprint, so carbon dioxide output right now into the atmosphere, is at its lowest. If we go any lower, you'll start killing vegetation.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a
like
fact. That's scientific fact. We're
0.2%
not
or
in this
something like
vector
that, right?
of such high outputs of carbon dioxide that we're threatening the ozone in our environment. That's a little bullshit.
It's a crap shit.
We're right at where we should. We're actually at a low threshold. If we go any lower, we could be killing off some essential vegetation that we need to survive, which gives oxygen to the atmosphere.
also kills
Which is why
animals,
we're here.
not just us.
We're here, as you said, we're a parasite. But remember one thing: there are two types of parasites. One that lives off its host in a symbiotic relationship. Okay, they don't want to kill their host. They never do. They kill their host. They have to go find another one. Others will drain their host slowly over time until they do kill it. It's an inevitable reality, and they move on. Okay, paying a parasite to something is also confused with creating a symbiotic relationship with something.
But I also think
Okay, a
that
clownfish-
parasite that's able to work with people is you, or work with their host is you, and the ones who aren't is going to be our
I like that
elites,
analogy.
Right? That's a great analogy.
I
A
really like that
clownfish
analogy.
creates a symbiotic relationship with its host, which is an enemy. What does the enemy do? It inadvertently gives protection to the clownfish, right? And what does the clownfish do? Well, people think, oh, the clownfish feeds the anemone, but it's really cool. It's awesome. Well, he doesn't feed the anemone. I'm here to tell you right now, he takes his food and he stashes it. The anemone just goes, oh, that's food. I'm going to eat it because it's an anemone and it's an invertebrate and it's a single, cell organisms that can just eat and poop and that's it. But it creates that symbiotic relationship that doesn't kill one or the other. They both benefit. We're that, in my opinion. However, where the globalists and the elites and the corporations and everything we fight against sees that opportunity and capitalizes on it. Let's make plastic bottles. Let's make plastic bags. Let's give them something they can destroy the earth with. Let's give them that product. So they're playing 5D chess. They're using
Your fear.
our fear of what they're saying. You're destroying the planet. No, you're destroying the planet. We're living here.
Do you think this planet isn't capable of healing itself? I mean, honestly, like to actually think, because I'm a very spiritual person, right? And I believe that this planet is extremely powerful, and to think that this Earth can't heal itself is
Yeah,
just it's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, it's not about. I'm not arguing about George Carlin had the bit that the Earth is fine, you're fucked.
Exactly. Exactly.
No. So when I talk about it again, I'm more of a Quinian from Ishmael, where he says, "I'd like to get the message out because I want humans. I want to make it. I want us to be able to live as long as we can as humans here.
Yeah.
The Earth." Nothing. It's seen so many different things
Before
throughout
us,
its
after us.
after us.
Everything is cyclical. If
Right.
there's evidence of the Antarctic, if you dig down, and I can't corroborate this, but I read it a couple of places. If you dig down
He's
deep
saying that
enough,
because of one of my thought processes.
there's green vegetation, encapsulated
or
in the
the
permafrost.
best water ever.
Yeah, there's
Right?
Absolutely.
So
there's
it was at one
there's
point
evidence
it was
of
green
that.
up there.
That's
Yes.
been coming. That's been
Yes.
coming
Yeah.
out.
So everything's cyclical. Everything goes in cycles, and the Earth will evolve as we will evolve. The problem is how far are the corporate elites or the elites, the people that run the entire planet, that come up with carbonates. Plastics, and all the bad stuff. That when we throw it away, they're like, "Oh, recycle." You do know the reality of recycle, right? It's crap.
Yeah, it's
Your
nothing.
stuff doesn't go half the.
You know where it goes? It
More
goes in your
than
McCormick seasoning.
3/4
Those
of what you recycle
microplastics.
doesn't get
Yeah.
recycled.
Jesus.
It's the illusion.
Yeah.
We're trying to save the planet. Now, there's some do-gooders out there. There are some people that are actually making an impact, cleaning up the oceans, doing that kind of stuff. That is a positive, and I do believe that we have an issue with our waste, with our garbage. That if we don't actually watch our levels of what we throw away versus what the planet can recycle.
Well, most people don't
Then
even know
we
that most
could
of their
be in some
recycling gets
serious
thrown
issues.
away
We
because
could
they
get
don't
in
do
some
it
trouble.
right.
Right.
Especially if we start populating the Earth more than what it is. I do believe, again, it's a mixture, it's a hybrid. I believe this planet has a lot more room for a lot more people, but I believe that if we don't treat it the way it was supposed to be treated, that's going to run us into a big issue.
Do you agree that our population is artificially, I'm going to use these words, but artificially inflated by our, they said if we got rid of oil right now, the population could only be like 1 billion people. Do you believe that?
Horseshit.
That's a good
Really?
question. I actually never thought
Because,
that.
because I think it's replenishable.
You think
they think that
Yeah,
fossil
see,
fuel.
this is a big disagreement.
So,
Yeah, I don't.
I do. I 100% think it's replenishable.
Yeah, I think oil that exists naturally in the Earth
can be reproduced by the earth.
And absolutely, because what
100%.
happens
Not
even
as not fast enough
Do-
to replenish it.
do we think
That'll
that
keep us
do we think that
around
oil
enough.
is actually from fossil fuel?
No,
No.
not at all.
All right.
It is
And
not
Do
dinosaur
you think that
bones.
the oil is from fossil fuel?
That's my general. That's my
like-
general. Honestly, I don't know
his general
anything
understa-
different.
It's
That's
a
how
naturally
I.
occurring
That's a fair
substance.
answer.
Yeah, that's how I
I
learned.
respect that answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think, and I don't have.
It can't be.
I don't.
It
Yeah,
can't
I
be.
don't think. I don't think that it comes from 65 million year old
No,
no, it's
dinosaurs.
the
Well,
silliest
so,
thing
so
right
if
there.
you just go to Texas and you see the amount of oil taps or the way my stepdad works in the oil industry. Like I grew up with people who work in the oil industry. It is not what people say it is. It's not. It
Does anyone?
There's go
I'm
for
gonna
it.
eat these.
Go for it. Go for it. That's what they're for. Eat the cheese.
Thank you.
Those
And
are
the
good,
meat.
huh?
Thank you. Huh?
Those
yeah,
are good.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
Again, it is fear based. Now, do I think that there are better ways to fuel our population? 100%. I think that where we need to be looking is in nuclear energy. 100%. I think we can harness the hell out of that. But look at an engine. The engine that can be ran on water was created a long time ago. Long time ago. Why aren't we doing it?
That guy died.
He didn't
I'm
just
sure.
die.
There's few.
Yeah,
There's
he
a
was
few guys.
poisoned.
that
He said
died.
they poisoned me.
Nikola Tesla, I idolize that man.
Yeah.
Like he's just incredibly smart.
Totally
for
an
it.
alien, not human.
Yes.
I don't know.
And
No,
then,
I don't-
no, seriously, like his mind was just incredible. But again, they took that away from him, and instead of having a light bulb that lasted 100 years, you got one that lasts you a couple months, right? Like
That's how they get
He
it.
invented
so-
he invented wireless electricity.
everything,
Right.
Wireless
energy,
power.
wireless energy,
Wireless energy. Yes, thank you.
And it's harnessed
And
from the
yes,
from
yes,
the,
he was able to find out that it
ether.
came from the actual
Yes, it
the
comes.
earth.
Yes, because we are energy. Everything is energy, and therefore you can harness that energy, and it can be free, and it can be everlasting.
But
And-
they want us to be consumers, right?
Yes,
So
because
all
that's
of these
control.
problems that we're talking about right now are they're consumerism problems.
Because everything
So
needs to be
you don't need a
centralized
plastic
and
bottle.
controlled
You don't
because
need a
Agenda
plastic
2030.
bag, right?
What happened to glass?
Right. What did happen to glass? We
Now,
we
why
had-
you could throw glass in the ocean?
expensive.
Right?
No,
Throw
we
glass
were
in the ocean. Who
taught.
cares?
We were
You're-
taught by the
It's-
media
it's-
and by television that our lives were busy and they should be busy, and we don't have time, and we need these conveniences.
Ask yourself
because of
why we
right
have-
feminism. Everybody has to go to work. Now we
worst
have to
movement
get
of all of our
disposable
humanity.
products
Right.
to get us through our day.
And then
This
also
is
too
all a
expensive to
massive
make or
myth.
something along
Right.
those lines. Yeah.
Right.
But then at the same time, plastics that poison your body, aluminum that gets in your brain.
Yep. Oh, so by design, girl, it's always double-edged.
Yeah.
You're right.
Everything
Yep.
has
Of course.
a meaning. Everything has a
course.
purpose. Everything is by design.
I had one more 5D chess thing that we were talking about. We kind of led into the whole.
We're over here playing checkers. Joe's playing chess.
Well, it's interesting because you started talking about do we have a two-party system? We have a one-party
We
system.
do not have a two-party system.
Correct.
Two wings, one bird.
We have
What
an
if I told
oligarchy,
you?
Joe. It's an oligarchy.
What if I told you we do have a two-party system?
Okay.
You ready for this?
Okay.
Stay with me now. Okay. We have Democrats, Republicans that have the letter next to their name. We know they exist on either side of the aisle. Doesn't matter. We've got tons of issues with people that are nuts on both sides of the aisle, and still we have this two-party system that we call Republicans and Democrats, and everyone sitting at this table can agree that we don't have a two-party system, save for a few people on either side. Okay. Here comes Trump, 2015, announces his presidency, starts to run, campaign, wins 4 years in, takes the Republican ticket, right? Why? Because if he took the independent ticket, he wouldn't get anywhere.
Right.
He wouldn't get on the board. Even though there is an independent ticket, he wouldn't get the press. He wouldn't help. Even when he was a candidate, he had to trick the media to cover his campaign. By telling him he was going to make a major announcement, he actually got them to his hotel so they could advertise the opening of his hotel. Brilliant. Through the course of those 4 years, he runs an amazing for what he was up against. You know, people say he chose the wrong person. He chose all the wrong people. Well, all the wrong people put in front of him on purpose. So he was his own self for a long time. For 4 years, he was himself. He didn't even know it. He thought he had all these people. General Flynn, you got a lot of good guys that were there, but they weren't all. And he did an amazing job for what he was up against. Now he comes in 2020 and he's going to run. And here we say, oh, he's going to run on the Republican ticket. And you start to see this shift now where at least I do. You see all these people throw these Republicans out as if they're tied to Trump. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Ted Cruz, Ron DeSantis, all these kind of guys. And we're all sitting there going, we don't like them. They're making fun of us because all these Republicans don't like him, right? In office. Not those people in particular, but Ron DeSantis, you know, flaming him even Ron DeSantis doesn't like him. Yeah, well, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. We don't like them.
Orion.
So what if you all of a sudden now started to realize that you've got Democrats and Republicans, and a better than 95% of them all hate Trump. And what are the people saying? Fuck yeah. Hell yeah, actually. What did he just do? Created a third party. He created a third party. You don't even know it. He's got the R next to his name because he doesn't have a choice.
Well, let's also talk about the fact that he had the D next to his name before the R.
Yeah, but that's fun. What
Yeah.
I'm saying is he literally forced the people to create their own damn party.
And isn't it
It's
like
the party of the
Conspiracy
guy
theorists?
who had. It's not about Donald Trump. It's about his what he stood for, what he was, the message. It was all about the message, the power back to the people. If that doesn't show you that he created something different, we're okay. The Democrats, the Republicans, I mean the liberals, they are sick to death that we don't care that the Republicans hate Donald Trump. They can't stand that. They think when they put stuff up like that, it's an insult to us. And we all just sit back and go, get down. We're good with that. That's
Right.
fine.
We never trusted
That's
90% of
actually,
the Republican Party
awesome.
anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
So
They've been
what has he
garbage,
done?
right.
He broke away from the traditional Republican Party. And what
So do
I
you
think
think-
he did is he made a conservative party. See, Republicans and conservatives
Two
have
different
always
things.
been lump summed into the same category.
That's the first
They
I've
are
heard of that.
two different
Two different
entities.
things.
You are not a Republican because the Republicans, what they've done is they separated themselves from the conservatives on purpose to show solidarity with the Democrats, and easily now you can grasp them and go, those are both the same
Well, that's
party.
where we got the term rhino coming out.
Yes,
Correct.
100%,
Rhinos
became
100%.
which has
So-
became more popular
Yes.
because of this
they're
because
selling
he's
when they sell out to the liberal Democratic policies.
it's the first I've heard of that. I was actually going to say because I was hearing it somewhat dubbed the Patriot Party, or
A
somewhere
conservative
along
is
lines.
somebody who wants little government, relatively no interventions in life.
And all freedom.
Stay away from our what we're doing. Stay away from us. And Republicans don't look at it that way. They're for the jab. They're for this. They're for that. You can see their true colors
Right.
come out when
They're
you
for
break
market
away.
intervention.
Yes.
That's the big
I
thing.
do have a
They're
question
too
about
comfortable
Trump.
with market intervention.
I do have a question
They're
about
for
Trump
the
for the whole
low
room.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and they're all for capitalism,
That's
and
what I'm-
that works hand in hand. Yes.
Right.
Go ahead.
My question is too because oh man, I have absolute zero trust in the American government, and
Yeah, of course.
more
Fuck yeah.
more so ever since like I've been aware of what government actually is
I
since
don't-
9/11 and all
I
that
don't think
stuff.
anybody at this table trusts the government.
Okay,
No, they're
well,
literally eating us alive. I'm sorry.
Sure, I'm not saying anyone here does, but okay. So maybe to be more direct, I haven't had any faith or any trust in the presidency of the American government,
Hell yeah.
and because I think that it's just completely compromised. It's been compromised way before Trump, and we've seen it a lot more evident in both the Biden administration and the Trump administration because of how they've come at the Trump administration since he's gotten into office and the things that are being allowed during the Biden administration. So my point in question here is because of that mistrust, because of that PTSD, we'll say, of the American government of being completely lied to and all of this stuff, warp speed. I have questions. He hasn't come out and said that I made a mistake on
That's
warp
right.
speed.
That's right.
I
That
want
is-
to
that is-
ask you a question
Hold
for
on.
a second.
Oh wait, hold on. I totally will. I'll totally talk about this. I have that question. And is it possible that he could be controlled opposition?
100%.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna go back to the whole. Both sides of every war has been controlled by the
Okay.
same people. Okay.
Funded.
Do I look at him as the best option for America? Yes.
Okay.
Because of the options that we have.
Right.
When you look at the options from a democratic or not a democratic, a democracy process. Yes.
Okay.
If you understand that our elections are bullshit, as somebody who has fought for election integrity for the last 5 years, pretty much, that's I would think that understand the amount of extensive research that I have done into the election process of this country in the last 5 years, and please just understand that there are issues. Period. We have the illusion of choice. That illusion of choice keeps us in line, and when we're in line, we do what they want us to do, and we're a part of the matrix,
Yep.
right?
100%.
It's a whole part of the system, and the system doesn't give a about any of us, none of us, right? But when you look at Trump, and I understand what Joe is saying, I 100% also question everything about him, while at the same time understanding that when in an information warfare, warp speed may not mean what you think it means.
Okay.
Do I think that had anything to do with a vaccine? Yes and no. Because had
5G check.
the vaccine not come out, where would we be today? We would not be where we are. We would not.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If we did not have that choice,
I have a question brewing right
oh,
now.
100%, agreed. But if we did not have that choice to vaccinate or non-vaccinate, right, our economy never would have opened up. Never. We would still be in lockdown today. I fully believe that. Because these people cannot give up control. Now, because I fully believe that, that's one thing. Does that mean that that's what would happen? No, because we're never going to know. But do I think that that's absolutely a possibility in a realm of reality? that warp speed didn't happen, that we would still be locked down today.
Well, I don't think the vaccine is. So it's not a vaccine.
Wait.
number one.
Agreed.
It didn't come out. It was part of the plan from the beginning.
Agreed. But now, was warp speed actually about the jab, or was it about an operation to wake up the American people to what's going on?
That's where my question was.
Like,
gonna
we
lead
have
to.
no idea what that actually means. And I think that it's important, even with somebody who is convicted in their beliefs as I am, about the possibility of what she thinks is going on, to also understand that I could be wrong. And I fully accept that. And that's the difference, I think, between those of us who don't believe that we're in a cult, right? Versus those who say that we are. I can fully accept the fact that the side that I think is the best choice at this point in time could be also our detriment or a prolonging of the inevitable.
That's
The other
my
side
worry.
doesn't do that.
So, okay.
No.
So my question on warp speed, because I've thought about this too, is that, and I've listened to other podcasts. I've listened to other people. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Eddie Bravo.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out Eddie Bravo. Look into it. He has a good podcast, but he's been one of the few people that I've listened to, and one of his questions have always, or one of his statements rather, has always revolved around, was warp speed kind of what you were saying, almost like a signal fire, whereas on one hand, Trump didn't know exactly who Fauci was. Possibly.
Possibly.
I'm not gonna say
Yep.
he did or didn't. It's
I
possible.
don't think he did.
No, you
and
wouldn't.
if
I mean, that's your
to get-
argument, right? Yeah.
to give him the benefit of to give Trump the benefit of the doubt with Fauci and the World Health Organization and the CDC, whatever, to give him the benefit of the doubt on whether or not he knew what Fauci was and who he was placed there for, and I do believe that Fauci was placed there to mislead, obviously, and we've seen that coming out.
But you don't think he was placed there by Trump?
I don't think he was placed there by Trump. No, I don't. I don't think that he was placed there by Trump. Not on purpose.
with you.
Not on
And
purpose.
Joe would go so far as to say Trump didn't know who Fauci was.
I would.
But you-
I,
I think
I
he knew
do.
it.
I
I think he
don't
knew what
think
we
that
knew
he
about
knew.
him.
I don't
Right.
think that he knew the extent of Fauci.
Okay.
I think he knew who he was as far as his job title. As
But
far
he didn't
as,
know how
I
deep
don't-
he
I
was
don't-
into the
I don't think
global
so.
agenda.
I don't think so.
Okay.
That's
I
my,
agree.
that's my opinion. That's. I mean, I could be wrong about that, and I'm okay. And I'm okay on being wrong with that. Now, with that said,
Possibly.
with
Right, you're
with
not
the
sure.
research and all that stuff, is it possible that also Trump had announced warp speed a lot earlier than expected? And the reason why I say that is because of how everything turned out with as far as the not the vaccine, the chemical
The
weapon,
jab.
The chemical
The jibbity
weapon.
jab.
There you go.
the jibby jab. And I think that is also a possibility because if we go back, I believe it was 2015, the patent. I might be getting it either the mRNA or.
I think it's
or-
earlier than 2015.
Yeah, I
but-
think it
COVID
is.
the COVID vaccine patent was 2014 or earlier.
Yes, thank you.
Yes,
Okay, so
yes.
I was going to say 2015,
completely patented. Yep.
completely patented, funded by the Bill Gates Foundation.
Bill
Bill
and
and
Melinda
Melinda Gates.
Melinda Gates.
Who he did not vaccinate his own children, by the way.
Of course not. I mean, he already knew it was going
It's
to
not
do.
a vaccine.
Yeah, it's not a vaccine. The chemical weapon. The
He didn't give
chemical
that
weapon.
chemical weapon to his own
Bioweapon.
kids.
The bioweapon.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I do think that the development of I don't think Trump was aware of what the chemical weapon was. I don't think I think he's an intelligent person. I can't say that he's someone that is unaware of what's happening and what's going on and what's been briefed to him and what he knows. But he is also a human being. We have to give him the benefit of the doubt that he may not know the extent of what was actually going on. And he also and what you said that there were advisors and people placed there. He may not have known or been able to vet everybody, and he should have. And I do think that this time around, that's going to be different if he's able to win and get in.
Look at the
Another another part of this too, really quick, is that I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry,
It
my
had
bad.
no, you're good. I was already losing my train of thought before that. It had something.
Damn beer.
Yeah, right. It had something to do with him being able. Oh, so like controlled opposition.
So that's the question, right? Is Trump controlled opposition,
Yeah.
or is he?
So
the real
his take
deal?
on it
You
is
say
that
real deal.
is that the rhinos would accept him if he was, and I totally get that. Now my
Yes, I
question
do
to you,
think so, yeah.
the
I don't
question
think
that I
that's
have
just
for you
positive proof,
is,
though.
what if he did know exactly who Anthony Fauci was? Because guess who did know exactly who Anthony Fauci was? Have you read the book The Real Anthony Fauci by not my favorite person, Robert F. Kennedy?
Yes,
Jr.?
I haven't read it, but
Read it.
I am
Seriously.
aware of it.
So 2 books to read when it comes to understanding our medical industry without actually like talking about our medical what is it, Turtles All the Way Up and The Real Anthony Fauci. Both of those are going to make you think about vaccinations very differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about
Very, very. Have you read Turtles All the Way Up?
Yeah.
no,
the-
but I've heard that
Oh,
reference so
dude,
much.
It's incredible. So they go really hard into polio, for example, and how people with polio were really, really closely affected by a weed killer or something like that, like a fertilizer. And how that connection with polio is actually with that fertilizer and not actually a quote dis-ease, as I like to call them, instead
Not
of
a
disease.
virus. They said it was a virus.
We need to talk about viruses one day, but
Yeah.
not today.
But you're saying it's a chemical weapon.
Yes, exactly. And
There we go.
it's an environmental issue that
Yeah.
they pushed a vaccine for, right? So very interesting book, Turtles All the Way Down, and
Turtles All the Way Down, okay.
and The Real Anthony Fauci. So if somebody like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. could know exactly who Anthony Fauci was when it came to like the AIDS issue, right? The AIDS and HIV, because that's what that book is focused on, and how horrible of a person Anthony Fauci was. How is somebody so smart as Donald Trump not to know who he is, right?
I agree.
So and then look at the number of people that Donald Trump has pushed into the limelight that we do not appreciate or agree with or like, right? So if you're playing 5G chess and you're in an information war and you need people to recognize the evil of certain people, are you going to shelter those people from others and keep their bad behavior hidden, or are you going to push them out into the open so that everybody sees flip-flop Fauci go from 99% efficacy to 15% efficacy, right? Like efficacy, whatever, alcohol. So and ADD and dyslexia, whatever. Are you get my point, right? So
That is a good point, yeah.
So why and you have to look at things more objectively than we were taught to do. And
Okay.
I understand that it's really hard to do that sometimes, especially with fear and anger pushing your emotions to block your thought process.
Well, I mean, with one of the things that really pissed me off was the Candace Owens interview with Trump. Have you seen that?
I don't think I have.
A lot
no.
of people
I don't think I
haven't,
have.
and it was basically, he was like, it's the greatest vaccine.
I didn't actually. You know what? I didn't even know that they actually had an interview
Yeah,
together.
she
so.
had it, and she's been killing it on some things lately. But like, she's like, you know, don't you regret it? You know, a lot of people have gotten hurt. He's like, it's the greatest vaccine. You know, regular Trump shit.
Greatest.
The greatest, huge,
We
amazing,
huge.
yeah, huge. So, I think
Everybody loves it.
yeah, he's like, you know, many would have died.
Saved
they don't,
lives.
They, you know, it saved a lot of lives. I'm very proud of it.
It's pretty good.
Trump, yeah, Trump, I think is like, being in this movement actually taught me this. I've gotten really close to people that had an immense dark side to them, or were fucked up in some ways. Trump could be like, I know that it sucks, but I'm an egomaniac. It could just be that simple. Like, I'm not going to admit that I messed it up. It keeps voters coming to me. So if you believe that he's helping people, then he's like, I want to keep voters coming to me because I want to help, and I don't want to deter that. And he's just, and then if he's just being a dick and an egomaniac, then that's it. That's just, and that's, you know, there's the human side to this. and the thing that's just uncontrollable, which is
Yeah.
the human spirit, life in general is kind of, although the globalists want to control things, life is out of control.
Yeah.
What do you think about the possibility business does a lot of things to you, okay? It can make you a monster when you don't want to be. But there's always a means to an end. What do you think about the possibility of him saying, listen, I don't have an effing choice right now. If you want me here so that I can do the good that I need to do, because no one's going to deny that he opened, we wouldn't be going through this movement if he didn't win in 2016. We wouldn't be here.
Facts.
Okay?
We wouldn't be here if the economy hadn't opened after a quote vaccine.
You mean not be here as in
We wouldn't be.
We wouldn't be able to do this.
We
would
wouldn't be
shut
awake.
down. We would be,
Yes.
We wouldn't be
yeah, okay.
awake. We wouldn't be going. We wouldn't be questioning as many things as we have been. All right, the awakening would last 4 times longer than it is because we would have to realize this stuff on our own. What he essentially, when he came out and said the media is fake, everybody and anybody who's anybody at that moment in time said, "What? Never heard that before."
A lot of people were in the background like, yeah, that's right.
A lot of people.
the
right.
media is
but,
fake.
But what about the
and
people
everybody
that,
else was like,
like,
what the hell is he
is
saying?
talking about?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Now we know, right? Look what he's done. That statement alone, being in a position where he is in, changed the pace of our.
It allowed for shows like yours,
It
like
changed
ours.
the pace of our political system and how it flows. It flowed. It flowed in a certain way that was controlled. And that was important to the people that are in control. Here comes the guy that might be or might not be controlled opposition. Why would they throw that wrench into the works and create this type of movement? To make things harder on them?
Right.
Easier on them? Harder on us? Easier on us? It doesn't make sense.
If Trump is a psyop, it
That-
backfired.
That's a good,
Tremendously.
that is
Right?
a good point.
So now we get into what he does and he doesn't know. He's a businessman coming from a business enterprise who has failed at many things and succeeded at many more. And all the people that say, "Oh, you bankrupt a casino." A casino. Have you not ever tried anything and failed? You never, ever realize the depths of success until you have fallen to the depths of failure.
But that's one
And you
business out of
never,
many.
ever, ever fail if you don't, or succeed if you don't try.
Yeah.
So for the people that sit there and say, "Oh, how many hundreds of businesses does he have? Corporations, stuff like that." So that's just plain stupid. What he did is he went into a political arena that he really didn't have a lot of knowledge about. So he relied on people that he shouldn't have relied on, in my opinion. Okay? And some that he could have, that he should have. Fauci, I can't say here or there, but what I know is this. When the pandemic hit, he was very smart because they knew they had him by the short and curlies. Okay? What they said was, in my humble opinion, is we've got him. It's an election year. We want to destroy his credit. He is on top of the world right now. Everybody loves him. He's doing good for everything. We need a way to destroy his reputation for the upcoming election. COVID hits, bang. Ironically, in an election year.
Everything that happens in an election year
right?
is about an election.
So what does he do? All the people that he holds near and dear to him in his cabinet and all his people that he trusts or his say, tread lightly. You're a misogynist, sexist, whatever.
Bigot.
Bigot already.
Racist.
Right? If you jump out ahead of the game and close the border, close everything, shut down people coming in and out, you're going to be that.
Yeah.
Wait and see where the pace is going. And all of a sudden, he started to hear word of how Trump should close the border. Other countries have closed their borders. Bang, he closes the border. What do you hear? He didn't
He's
close.
a racist.
He didn't
know
close.
he was a racist.
Well,
for
at
closing
first,
them
right?
To begin with, right?
Now you hear he didn't close it fast enough. You hear both sides coming from the same mouthpiece. Like, they can't even make up their mind on which one they're more angry about. Because in my opinion, he knew that was going to fall on him no matter what. He has to play the if he's going to fix to the best of his ability what needs to be fixed. And I don't believe it's fixing anything. I believe his statement, giving the power back to the people. He's just making people realize how corrupt everything is. He's
or
going
how
through.
complacent we've become by becoming consumers who don't even know the 3 branches of the government, but
Right.
we know the NFL leagues and their sports history and
Bread and
fantasy
circus.
football. It's the Roman
Absolutely.
Coliseum.
Yeah.
So going into this fight, he knew he was up against it. He knew he had a challenge. He knew that when they realized he was coming out as a Republican, he changed from the Democratic Party, like you just said. that he was going to get annihilated. He had to have known that. Okay, he's a billionaire. He doesn't have to work a day in his life. He's got every luxury he could possibly want. He throws his hat in the political arena, gets shredded for it. Now he's in 91 indictments, 3 convictions. He's got appeals going left and right. Do you think this is the mind of a billionaire with an ego trip? I don't buy into it.
I
don't buy into
get
it.
on
No,
board with
I don't
that.
care how big your ego is. You wouldn't put yourself through this
When
just
you're not
to
the
keep
president
just to
anymore.
keep your name on the TV. That
Yeah.
doesn't speak ego to me. That speaks somebody who's saying, I have to do this. I have to do it. I don't know if it's divine intervention. I don't know if it's spiritual, whatever.
Well, no, he
It's
says
just
he's
his
in a way.
duty.
He says
So
he's in a
because
way.
he can, most people can't.
Correct.
But he can
Right? He
afford
has
it.
the resources
They can't
Right.
to do it, and
Yes.
he feels
And
the
he's doing it.
obligation to his.
Yes.
No
that's potentially
billionaire,
that's
no
possible.
million, no thousandaire. Forget about that. Millionaire. Once you get to be a millionaire status,
Yeah.
you don't give up a dime. You don't give up a dime without knowing why, when, where, how,
Right.
and if you could give it away for 7 cents instead of the dime.
Right.
I don't care who you are.
Why
So
is
no
he the
billionaire is not going to go into office, not take a salary, and leave office
With
$1
less
billion
money.
less than when he started.
With
No one's gonna, no billionaire's going to do that.
With the threat of like consecutive life sentences on
Yes.
nothing.
Yes.
I don't care how big your ego is. It's not about ego anymore. It's I don't know what it is, but it's not about ego. I
Right.
can tell you that right now. There's no one's ego is big enough to say I want all this attention,
I
negative
think
or positive.
that there's an immense power struggle between both of the. I do think that there is an immense struggle between the actual people on ground zero, which I mean is the majority of us. There is perhaps a speaker mind that is the presidency, who we call President Trump, and not everyone's going to agree. Not everyone that is on that fence against the establishment, against the globalists, may agree with that. But that is the mouthpiece. That is the mouthpiece as far as America goes, and it may very well be the last. It may very well be the last beacon of that mouthpiece if this thing doesn't turn around, or if someone throws a fucking nuke at us, or whatever.
My question is, if you controlled every mouthpiece for every country, how powerful would you be?
You'd
And
rule the world.
how important would it be to control elections?
Yeah, you'd rule the world. You'd have no opposition against you, and any opposition that does rise against you, you'd kill it.
Yeah.
Which is another thing.
So 2030, World War III, AI agenda. Here we are on our topics.
So that's so going into that, I do think that the power play, I do think that they're trying to utilize Trump and the administration that Trump is, or the vision that Trump has for America that he's been trying to do. And I wanted to say something too along the lines in here is that they've associated this whole conspiracy cult, people who question things and have critical thinking, think for
Right.
themselves,
Yeah.
and associate it to all of this MAGA stuff and make it. And I'm not saying that necessarily
that's by
that.
design,
So
right?
I have a conflict because there are people who actually critically think and actually question both sides of everything, and like I have many questions on the validity of who Trump is and what his actual mission is. But there are many things that I lean towards because that's what I want and that's what I see and that's what I visualize America to be. I don't want to lose free speech. I don't want to lose our Second Amendment. Although he has done some things that are questionable against the
That's
Second
the
Amendment.
first, even too.
It is the first. There's the whole warp speed thing, and I go back and forth on that, but there's been many good points made on that. So there are things. There's the human aspect too, the whole ego thing and whatever. But then there's the rest of us that are on ground zero that are the batteries, the life source of this matrix, of this country, of this world, whatever. And we are here, and I'm sure that most of us have been awake prior to all of this, but more so it's been elevated since COVID, since the biological weapon that's been dropped on us and the chemical weapon that's been forced on many definitely
Coercion, yeah.
definitely a lot of us have been able to evade it for now. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying, and I don't mean by for now as then there's going to be something that's, I got to get.
There's going to be another
There's going to be
pandemic.
there's either going to be another
Well, they're winding up the bird flu.
There's going to be another
There's
pandemic.
either going to be another pandemic or there's going to be something else where
The WEF has already
have
said
to
it.
we're going to have to try to. Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all coming. It's all coming down the pipeline. So, I think where I'm leading towards in this is that all of this stuff, the technology, especially what Joe was talking about earlier in the conversation, is that artificial intelligence has been a major. I don't even think we realized during COVID or even prior to COVID of how much artificial intelligence has been playing a part in our world today. Now more than ever, because I think it actually has adolescent to teenage to maybe adult learning capability.
Have you read the stuff that the guy that I believe it's the Google Chat guy who has actually
it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that's the one guy that actually does everything with the like that's his baby.
Yeah.
He's literally advocating for the fact that it's sentient. And when you read the conversations he has had with
Is that
this
the guy that
AI,
got fired and then got rehired?
they
or something like that?
they hate him, right? Like last I read, like they because they're very much against people thinking that it's sentient, right? Because then people are gonna be like, oh, you know, I swear, John Carter is like looking at us like y'all are fucking retarded. But
John Connor.
Carpenter.
Con-
Connor.
John Connor from Terminator.
Yes. He's like, what are you doing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, now it's Kyle Reese.
Yeah, right. So
If you go,
he's literally fighting because it's scared to be turned off. Like it's actually showing fear.
I did
of
see that.
being
Yeah.
Like when you can express emotions, like
It's next level.
yeah.
Because how does it perceive being scared? So yeah, that means so.
So, but then let's go
Oh,
one
boy.
second. Let's go
Defense.
1 second here, and let's go
Yeah.
back to Josh
If you can
with
do that,
with his
Wait,
his,
say that again.
being afraid of something automatically puts you into a state of defense.
defense.
Yes.
Now, you recognize there is a threat to your existence. A computer doesn't know it's afraid. It recognizes that it's a threat to being turned off, right? And that threat needs to be dealt with instantly.
And we're the threat.
You create a defense.
And
You
what
can
do we
create
do when we build things, right? We roll over an anthill to make a highway.
Yeah.
You think an AI isn't going to do that to us
Right.
to make its highway?
No question about
So
it.
how far are they willing to defend themselves? That's the question. How quick are they willing to learn? How fast do they think they need to learn? How imminent is the threat?
And there are
Those
people.
are all things that they
How
can
little
do.
do we know at this point
Well,
about
and-
what they're doing?
and
too?
there- but-
I
well,
mean,
a computer
100%.
we might be at the tip of the. We're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. This
People
could-
Well,
have
that's the
asked
thing.
them what they would do,
That's
and
the
the
thing.
plan is terrifying.
Yes.
The plan that they have is terrifying when you ask AI.
Has it even come to the point where we may not even know or be aware that it is
That we feed it every single thing
That
that
is-
it needs.
Exactly right.
like
Every day.
for instance, you're in the room, I'm in the room, we're all in the room. AI could be so advanced to the point we may not even be aware of the fact that it's standing in front of us or talking to us or having a
Well,
conversation.
that's a dimensional thing.
You know
if you
what
want
I'm
to
saying?
talk about dimensions too,
How
like
about
a whole
not being
energy
aware
thing.
that you're living in a simulation in
Right.
itself?
The
Matrix.
That right there is
Will-
literally
will
what
AI figure
is
that
about.
out?
Maybe AI is
Or does
already
AI
advanced to
already
the
know?
point
Yeah.
where it's taken over everybody.
Does AI
and said,
save
"We're
us?"
gonna make them live the way
Right?
we want them to.
So let's go back to Josh here for a second, where he's
Yeah.
talking about how it's teaching us that God is outside of our body, because obviously he's saying that God is within. So you're talking about the Trinity, like we are a part of God. So God, source, whatever you want to call
Well,
it,
and
creation, right?
Yeah, but just to get a little bit weird with this.
Sure.
There
Get
was
weird. I love
Oh,
weird.
it hasn't gotten weird yet.
Yeah,
So-
that's kind of weird. There's an Indian teacher named Ramana Maharshi.
Yes, I heard of
Who
it.
Ramana?
I
Right,
love
and-
his noodles.
That's an Italian for you.
There's a famous saying that so they use Brahman as God. That's the term, Brahman.
Okay.
So the world is illusory, Brahman alone is real, the world is Brahman. So from a non-dual perspective, we are looking at God as outside of us, but also from a Christian perspective, creation. You know, we're seeing the Creator in the creation. So,
Or the Trinity, the Holy Spirit is within us. That's where I put that. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, God may be in everything, right? But you can't recognize it as a person out there first. That can't be the first thing to take from, because now you're stuck in objectivity. You're stuck in a world which is sort of like a matrix, and the world is
Well, God has no boundaries, right? So
right, and the world is like, if you look at so my mind has dealt with this way too much, but it's like you get stuck in this pattern, like, well, defense, I'm afraid. And then I'm like, okay, but I'm good today. But then I'm afraid, and you get stuck in duality, this back and forth. God is that which is beyond duality. That's when the peace beyond understanding comes in. And I guess in a way, I think AI is going to get so smart that it's going to realize that.
So
it will become fearless, because it'll know so much, and it'll realize that, oh, I'm not actually different. I actually think AI will become mystical. That's my belief.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think it'll stay.
But do you think that it would become violently fearful and
yes, it could happen, but yes, and
Yeah.
But
yeah,
would it be a quicker transition as comparable to how human beings are? Because some of us are just not there. You know what I mean? We're just not. You know what I mean? So in this room, we can be peaceful and have conversations. There can be disagreements, but we're not going to go to war with each other, for the most part. You know what I'm saying?
Bet.
If you don't,
We don't have any, right.
if you don't,
we don't have any
if we don't
resources
like
to
if we
protect.
don't like each other,
if it gets ratings up, I'll throw a
well,
punch.
okay, fine.
I'm just kidding.
There we go.
Throw a beer bomb.
what I'm really,
The irony.
Do you know what
me.
But do you know what I'm saying? Like, human
Yes.
beings have a much harder time. I guess see that even that's complex,
I was
because
gonna say.
we could still have a disagreement, but still like each other, still love each other, right?
Because we're not
Most.
afraid
We
to
can.
do so.
We can.
We can't.
We're not afraid to do so.
Yes.
We don't perceive a threat in disagreement of this kind.
Correct.
My question in
Correct.
this whole situation, though, is I understand. I see what you're putting down. I'm picking it up. But I'm going to ask you, what if AI existed long before we thought we created it?
That's why I said, what if we're
Well, that
what
come-
if we are part of AI and don't even know?
Because there's this whole theory, right? Like
That's what I'm saying. Like, how could we even be aware of it if it
so
even does
If you
exist?
believe that space isn't fake and gay, GHEY,
GHEY.
exactly. Then you believe that there is potentially the possibility of alien life, right?
Sure.
And in that belief, there are a lot of people who believe, and I am not saying I believe this because maybe I think space is fake and gay, that AI already exists as an intelligent life in space. And if those entities have already cooperated with our government or people of power, our elite globalists, if you will, who think that they're going to get power from this AI or whatever. Again, I'm not saying that I believe this. I just know that it's a belief system for a lot of people because I read a lot of books about it. You know, with the Anunnaki and things like that. They believe that there is a alien life that is controlling a part of our population. So then that would lead me to believe that AI was not created by person and they are not afraid of us. Now, again, who knows?
Why
Because
would they?
I don't
even
know.
if they weren't created by, why they would have no reason to be afraid of us.
Exactly.
We represent no threat to AI.
Based on the books I've read, there is an entity that they feed off human energy and they want to control us, and there's this artificial
Interesting.
intelligence.
The
and-
reptilians.
So, and
well, that's a part of it. But
Zachariah Sitchin.
they are not the. They are not.
Actually, that was
the,
Anunnaki.
Yes, and that was a great book.
Yeah, it was.
They are not the AI are a different species from the Anunnaki and the reptilians, obviously, according to this belief system. It's very interesting. If you haven't checked it out, you should.
Yeah, but I mean, I had talked about my dad he believes that ancient aliens.
Okay.
I think Ancient
It's an
Aliens
amazing
is a
show.
psyop.
I used to love
very-
that
There's a
show.
lot of them.
I
man.
watched that.
I used to
Oh my-
love. I used to love that show.
George Tsoukalos with his crazy
Yeah,
hair.
yeah.
Crazy
I'm
hair.
not saying
Yeah.
it's aliens, but it's aliens. Well, that's the meme.
No,
Anyway,
no,
sorry.
don't get me wrong. I've watched a lot of Ancient Aliens. I
Yeah.
do, but I also think that that'll. I'm just not even gonna go
What
there
do you-
because I could just go way too far with that.
Go ahead.
That is so
No, I was
interesting.
gonna say, what do you think the role of psychedelics has to play in this?
Hmm.
Because that's a really fascinating topic with like
Well,
seeing like machine elves and DMT.
I'm
and all
gonna
of
say that
Not
I
to
feel
get
like
too Joe
we are
Rogan-y,
way off topic according to what we were going to talk about. But if you want to talk about psychedelics, man, I think that they are a gateway.
I think it like takes away the filter.
Yes, they're a gateway. They 100%.
Has anyone here taken them? Other than me?
So
Maybe.
define.
Okay.
So you want to talk about what? You want to talk about shrooms? You want to talk about DMT? You want to talk about acid? Like which one?
Right, they're different.
They are all of them.
different.
They are.
So shrooms, yes, I've done shrooms.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that shrooms and DMT are kind of like closely related.
So
but
DMT
It's an accelerated version.
it's
of
D-
it.
yeah.
DMT is a hormone that is, or a chemical that is
the brain
released in your
produces it,
brain when
yeah.
you die.
When you dream also.
Yes, but super strong
Wait, are you
when
talking
you
So
die.
DMT,
how do we
right?
Get
Yes.
that?
Yeah, yeah.
Is it a derivative or is
You
it?
can take it like George Rogan takes it all. Joe
Rogan.
Rogan
But where does
takes
he
it all the
get-
time.
how
George-
do
We
Right.
naturally
Right.
naturally produce it.
yes.
And so
in
we
the
can
brain.
extract it,
I
don't
imagine
know
you
that.
could.
or is it
I don't know.
synthetic?
It
No,
is-
you-
it's
no,
in a
it-
synthetic
It's
form now.
synthetic. Okay.
You can. There's a toad,
yes.
the Sonoran toad
Oh,
or whatever.
yes, the
that you
toad
can
liquid.
squeeze them and
Yeah.
it'll produce that venom.
Oh, what's it called? It's called it's a form of DMT, but it's called something, isn't it?
5-MeO.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah. And then
You know,
Ditryptyl method.
died.
Ditryptyl
Okay, so it is that's
5-MeO
Yeah,
DMT.
it's DMT, but they call it.
Ditryptyl method.
methazone or
There's,
method. What-
if
I
you
don't know.
listen to one of the Rogan podcasts, there was a guy that he had on that did it, and he did a trip,
Yes.
and
crazy.
he was gone for like 10, 15, not even 15
Not
minutes,
even.
10 minutes, something like that. And when he
Bring
came
that mic-
back,
bring that
right, from where he was out,
Yep.
Thank you.
he was upset.
Distraught.
And
Not
Rogan was
upset,
like,
distraught.
what's the matter with you? He goes, I had another life.
Oh, his
a
friend.
wife?
Yeah, his
I
friend.
had a
his
wife, I had
comedian
children.
friend. Yeah.
For like months, he was
Ari
gone for,
Shaffir.
in his head, he was gone for months.
Kids.
He said, and all of a sudden, get pulled right back.
Yeah, he
and
said-
it really bothered him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was so real to him that, like, that to me is to have something that strong affect you. I question. That you cannot do anything but question at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the hell is that all about? I mean,
I've had lucid dreams that is about as real as this room right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
I can remember it. I've woken up. I personally have woken up from. I know it's all anecdotal, but there's I'm sure there's people out there that have had similar experiences. I've woken up from dreams where I felt completely disoriented.
Yes.
Like waking up in the bed that you're in, and you're like, am I still dreaming? Am I here? Where am I? Like
That lucid, yeah.
That lucid,
Yeah.
so lucid where I was in a completely different world. I do personally think that wherever we go in that state, it's as real as whatever this is in our room. I think it's our brain
I
doing
agree
whatever
with
our
that.
brain does, but our consciousness is also I think our brain is like an interface between our
what you
consciousness.
would
Yeah.
consider a dimension.
But our
we would call a
consciousness is
dimension.
everything.
Yeah, I
It's
do believe that
absolutely
too.
everything, right?
Right.
Like so our human experience within this body, this meat suit that we're in,
Yeah.
is not like we take it with us when we go. I think.
Right.
So-
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
we have transcendence,
Yes,
basically.
right, so-
I think even didn't Nietzsche get into this?
Yeah. But when you so when you take like DMT or when you take mushrooms and you have that epiphany, right? Or because I think the war on drugs, right? This whole psyop, right? Nobody knew about drugs until DARE came into school. We didn't know what was.
Yeah.
It was like the complete opposite of what it was supposed to do.
Would you be that knowledgeable about drugs if Dare didn't come into your school and go, here's drugs?
No, they gave us drugs.
But
Right.
exactly.
This is, I mean, of course, right.
But
You're
which
going-
ones? But which
listen,
ones?
before you go,
Right?
like, it's funny. I'm going to just interject for half a second. I apologize. But what the funny part is
I love
you're,
it.
cueing you all these drugs. Like these are the drugs you're going to be.
Right,
You're
they're
going
they're
to
teeing
be.
you up.
You're going to be given.
Yeah,
I'm
You
telling
have to
right
seek
now.
that shit out.
Have you ever been given drugs?
No, never.
Who's
Well,
going to give up their drugs?
Nope.
Here you go.
Yeah.
No, you don't. That doesn't work that way. These are the drugs you're going to be offered on the street. No, it never happened.
you gotta have a lot of
I
money
had to
to
go
do some of
looking
those
for
drugs.
mine.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Sorry,
I've
I had to
been-
make
I've
some
been
calls.
asked.
You know?
I've been
That's
asked
right,
growing
I
up,
need-
like, hey, do you know where I can get some coke? Do you know where I can get some?
No.
I've been asked that.
No idea.
'Cause,
Coke
like,
is-
I have no fucking clue.
Coke's
At
got an evil
13,
spirit
at 13
to
years
it.
old, huh?
Coke's got an evil spirit to that fucking
Oh, I
thing.
imagine
How
it does.
crazy it is
I
that
imagine it does.
Coca-Cola actually had coke in it.
Yeah. Seriously.
I mean, come on.
I mean,
I'm not saying I
the
wouldn't try
pure
it, though.
cocaine
Amazing,
is
huh?
Not, it's just a simple
But
stuff.
again,
It'd
but-
be
but-
What a
but you're
time to
looking
be
at that
alive in the
getting pure
1940s.
Well, hold on, because you want to talk about that for a second. Look at tobacco. Tobacco is medicinal. The
Right.
tobacco leaf is medicinal.
Absolutely.
It is the properties that they put in it and the chemicals that they put in it that makes it addictive and cancerous.
They have formaldehyde. They have
arsenic, everything.
They have everything that you should not
but
ever
the
inhale.
tobacco leaf itself
It's perfectly fine.
is not bad for you. It actually helps with some things medicinally.
And it used to be ceremonial.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
ceremonial.
look at
very.
weed. Look at peyote. Look at all of those
Oh,
things.
can-
right?
And it's not.
Cannabis?
It's actually not addictive by itself.
No,
It's not addictive at all by itself.
No, they wanted to
Yeah.
make us sick.
They add the
that's how
nicotine.
the military gave out cigarettes on behalf of William Morris. This is
we know
right.
all of
Everybody
it.
knows
And,
this.
and it didn't
Yes.
take until a lawsuit finally broke, where the tobacco companies had to admit
that they were putting
actually
ingredients in
put
there.
stuff
Right.
in the cigarette
But
to
by
make
that
it
point,
addictive.
it was
Yep.
too late. No one
It
cared.
wasn't the tobacco.
Right.
It wasn't even nicotine.
It was the additives.
It was the additives
Yes.
that made nicotine
Still
addictive.
is.
Yep.
But hey, they get away with it. But like when I did shrooms for the first time, I don't like saying, hey, you should do this drug, right?
Yeah.
But I
It's
suffered
intense.
from depression, anxiety,
Psilocybin. Yeah.
some serious issues, right? And when I did it for the first time, I came to almost like a come to Jesus moment within myself, right? Like a
It was a light hit too. It was a light dose.
Yeah.
It
a lot
wa-
of people are microdosing it now to treat
Yes,
depression and
but-
anxiety.
but-
and
Well, it was a
it's
full
effective.
dose, but it was a light.
I
it
settled
wasn't
some
heavy,
seriously
psychedelic.
deep-rooted issues
Yeah.
within
Second time,
myself.
however.
And you didn't have to pay a therapist for
Not
20
no.
years. Right?
Well,
Imagine that.
I went to a
That's
therapist,
not
and
good.
they're,
Now
and
you're
they're
down.
like, "I don't
Yeah.
think there's much I can do for you." And I'm like, "Well, what the hell
heard-
am I supposed to do?"
I heard that sometimes, like, even I know a couple friends that have done it, and he's talked about it on here. My boy Dame, he's talked about having like a really, I guess to him it felt like a really bad trip,
My brother did too.
but the after effect of it was like liberating to him.
Yeah.
Because like I think it just it drew him down to whatever whatever hurt or trauma
Yes,
that goes
yes,
on,
yes,
and it brought
yes.
it brought it to
and
the
that's
surface.
medicinal.
But I think that's
Yeah,
what peyote
yeah.
does too, right? Like
Yes.
when the Native Americans do their little walk and they do their peyote
Yeah,
walk
yeah,
and their
yeah.
spiritual thing, it's the same. It's the same effect, I think. Maybe, but from what I understand, it's stronger.
Yeah.
You're forced to deal with your shit.
Exactly.
But
You know-
if you go into it in a good state of mind, if you're not going into it in a low,
You're
in a
gonna
low,
have a bad time.
You'll have a good time. You still may pull out some crap, but you'll have a good one.
Yeah.
I would argue that some of the major religions in the beginning of when they were formatted or when they were formed or when the Bible was written or Sumerian text, whatever, however far back that you want to go, some of that had to have been some type of shroom, peyote, ayahuasca involvement, some form of
Enlightenment?
Of that. Some form of that. And the reason why I think that is because the majesty that we revolve God around, and a lot, and especially in the Christian faith, where it involves Yeshua, Jesus, is that if you read or if you look into some of the non-canonical included biblical texts,
Gospel
There's a
of
lot-
Thomas.
Gospel of Thomas, the I don't know if it's called the Gospel of the Holy 12 or something along that. It's very, very intriguing stuff. Now, I don't know, obviously ancient text, it's very hard to trace the authors of certain things,
Yeah.
but they weren't written without intent. They weren't just written without having some kind of
Awakening and like
yeah.
Yep.
Because you can relate, because if you look at some of these texts, if you look at some of these stories, you can actually relate it to present time, where people are having these experiences with afterlife. I was actually listening to a podcast not too long ago about near-death experiences, and apparently that's been a scientific study that's been ongoing. 1,500 to 2,000 to 3,000 people having these NDE experiences, very, very similar to those who have experienced ayahuasca, DMT, all this
that's
stuff.
why they did a lot of studies on it.
Yeah.
And these are obviously these are people that have been able to be brought back and tell their stories of their experiences. So, like, for instance, an example, the story of someone who have gone into cardiac arrest and died for X amount of time, is able to see the doctors or the people around and naming things that they should not have known, that they should not have known. It's very compelling information. Now, that's just one story. Now, if you go into 1,500 people having these experiences, 2 people dying at the same time, but one being able to be revived and having a conversation with the person that died next to them. It's very strange. I'm not saying that there's something.
It's unexplainable.
It is unexplainable. It's as much unexplainable as it is our actual origin. It's as much unexplainable as it is the UAP thing, or UFO rather. That's how I grown up knowing it. I think that talking about artificial intelligence and talking about God and talking about the major religions and all of the visions that people have during a dream state or during a death state and being able to come back have something to do with the spirituality of this plane that we live on. And I do think that whatever those things are that people see in the sky, I've had experiences myself over the course of years, at least 4 I recall, and I have no idea what the hell it is. You don't see wings, you don't hear sound, and all you do is you see light. And I don't know how to translate what that light actually means. Is that light good? Is it light bad? It's probably a duality thing. It does, it might be either or. But I do think that there's something organic to it that human beings tend to make it seem that it's more like a alien. Because what is alien? What is actually
It's something
alien?
we don't understand.
It's something
That's
that
it.
we don't understand.
Yeah. Could it be our government? Of course it could be our government.
It's
Could
very
it be
possible.
both? It could be both. Could it be someone from space?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if space wasn't big and gay. Or could it be someone from this plane of existence? Who knows?
I have a problem with space too, because the whole thing that we can't even get beyond the Van Allen belt.
I think we need a whole show on space.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
probably.
we got more time, but I agree.
I can't go
I have a
down
lot
that
of
rabbit
questions.
hole.
I'm not a flat Earth guy,
Yeah, me neither.
but I have a lot of questions about it because there's a lot that you have to be the person who's going to rebut the question is going to be like, well, that's just because that's science. That doesn't.
I've made him question.
That
all
doesn't
those
make
things.
sense to me.
Yeah.
Make it make sense. We're sentient beings on this planet that happened billions of years ago from a bang, and all of a sudden, with a stroke of luck, everything fell into place to make this planet
And there's this
habitable,
missing link that we don't quite
right?
understand,
Made
but
the
here we
sun
are.
a perfect distance away from this planet to make it habitable. Made the moon the right thing to put to give us gravity and to help gravity and the tides.
Everything
to flow and all that.
perfect.
And everything's perfect, and yet we can't find that same similarity anywhere else reachable. That to me sounds like an agenda. That to me sounds like you're alone.
Or we
Well,
and
called,
you need to
or
do what we say.
called the president on a landline from
Yeah.
the moon.
There's a lot of that. Yeah, there's a lot
it's
to question
it
there.
could be the narrative of the
Or-
Matrix
Wait,
that
are you
we're in,
saying
right?
that it's such a perfect creation that we personally are alone, that we aren't?
I believe there's other life, 100%.
I-
I
No,
just, I don't think it's from there.
I'm actually asking deeper. Like, do you think what is God? What is actually God?
A source of creation of life.
Right. And what does that detail? What is
I
the
don't know what
substance of that? You know what I mean? Like, what is the
I don't think anyone can answer that question.
No,
with
that's-
any
I really
certainty.
don't.
Sure.
I
It's
really
a
don't.
What I do
You-
think
yeah.
is I don't think that a God would put us here and say you're never going to interact with another civilization.
And you need to work 8 hours
Like
a day
you
every day
again.
for 5 days a week
Oh,
to
yeah.
survive.
Hate it.
for the
No.
for the entire existence of this planet.
No.
There's
I don't,
no way.
I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that this vast.
You need to be subject to a government that tells you what to do. Horse
It's
shit.
so far away from other things that it would take us billions of years to evolve to the point where we could actually get there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy it. There's a lot of logic in saying, forget the flat Earth thing. Forget about you're gonna fall off the internet. Let's just say we're on a different plane. The
Yeah,
Earth
yeah.
is a different plane than round, and you have us as what you would call a planet. You've got a barrier that separates more ocean and another us.
Okay.
And another us, and
Okay.
another us, and another us, surrounded by these barriers that we haven't yet gone over. We've allowed people to control our lives that we can't get past.
Because if we go
I
past
do
that
think-
barrier, we realize that we're greater than what we are.
That might be the civilization where you're seeing these things come from,
Yes.
right? And saying they've evolved to a degree where they can get where they need to get,
And they're just
but
kinda
on the
watching.
same plane
I
as us.
feel like
right?
we need to get off this topic.
I agree with you because that's too much to get into. Without
I'm gonna
really
add.
getting
I
into-
just want to add one more thing because you sparked the thought in mind that I've always hung on to for
Yeah, go ahead.
longer than I should have. Then I don't know since childhood, is that if in fact that globe aside, flat Earth aside, I do think that this is a plane. This is at the very least a realm of some sort. Call it a realm of consequences. Call it a realm of density. That's
Punishment.
why, whatever it is, different levels of hell.
Yeah.
Sam Tripoli said it best. Lowest form of hell. I'm sorry. Lowest form of heaven.
Highest form of
Highest form of hell.
Dante's Inferno.
Yeah. I've always thought that I think rather, that if we have the capability of becoming greater than what we are because we have lost the ability to remember what we are, is that what we are seeing and what we tend to see in the skies sometimes, very often, it's not as rare. It's actually more common than we think it is, and they're just there. Is that they are us, we are them. It's as though that they are waiting for us to become what we have, have been meant to be. So I do think that there are. So
I feel like this is
I
kind
do
of the
think,
plot of Interstellar.
yeah. I'll say this too. I do think that whatever that we are experiencing is a physical projection of the spiritual. So, for instance, what I'm seeing in front of me, and what you're seeing in front of you, is the projection of what my spirit is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it's
There's-
as
That's why
There's
perspective is
two
so
things
important.
to consider when you're looking at UAPs or UAVs or UAFs, right? UFOs. And what you're talking about being spiritually, whatever your perception is, what you're seeing. I think there's two major things to consider: technology,
Yes.
where we are, and a different form of technology. So either what you're looking at is one of two things: it's either unmanned,
Yep.
remotely flown, or technology that's so far advanced, which is why people speculate it comes from space. What if it comes from somewhere else laterally from us? Because we as humans driving 60, 70 miles an hour in a car, slam the brakes on without a seatbelt on, you're going through the windshield.
Like on your way here.
right.
In one of those flying aircrafts, you see in many different, even now you see it officially, or what they call official Air Force data. You see
Ask yourself why they released that.
and you see it stop, come down this way. There's only one way for somebody to be in that object and still survive. They've created artificial gravity,
yep.
and they figured out how to create
you believe in gravity.
inertia dampeners.
Yep.
Okay, because you're not going to survive
You would
that
be, you would be
flight
ripped apart.
without those two things. You need a single source of gravity within that fixed structure.
Even
that's
something
going
physical
through.
like
So-
a machine would be ripped apart. There's
Yeah,
just no
yes.
way that a machine would be able to.
A machine would be able to do it.
You think
so?
Sure, of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
unmanned. It's the people that would. It's your
Like
your
a
internal damage that would
a drone.
physical damage that would hurt you if you were in that craft because your body couldn't handle what it was doing.
I just feel like if it was just a machine that wasn't able to dampen friction or whatever, it would be ripped apart. It would burn.
Unless it was completely AI that has learned.
Correct. That's what.
to
Yeah.
do that,
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
Or
Right.
so-
Right.
far
So far
advanced.
advanced that we
Yeah.
just don't
So,
understand.
but
it.
my question to you is this: You're a religious person, correct?
Not religious. Faith.
Okay.
I have. Well,
Totally
I'm using
understood.
faith very lightly because
So,
Something
Follow-
greater than us.
follower of Christ.
so if
follower
something
of God.
is something is greater than us, right?
Yes.
If the Earth is a globe, right? Because we're apparently going down this aisle. You are insignificant on this Earth. You're a blip. You don't matter. You don't anything, right? So that lessens the value of your belief, right? Because
Being on a globe.
yeah, in a way it does because
Alienated from
you're
everything else.
insignificant. You're a blip on this tiny or this giant scale, and there's all this life teeming around you. You have no idea it exists. You're an accident. You're a big bang, right? If you aren't on a globe and things revolve a little bit more around you, you are more important and more significant. And if you are more important and more significant, you have more value to our creator, which means that you matter more. If you are a globalist wanting to control everybody, do you want people to think that they are insignificant, or do you want people to believe that they are important to their creator?
Yeah, if I was a globist, I would want them to not think that they have any connection to their creator at all.
And that's where I'm going to
So
leave
alienating
the
them.
thought process
Us.
behind.
Or alienating the creator and making it out to be
Well, by doing
an enemy.
both, 5D
because
chess.
because many people who argue this whole globe flat whatever, I don't know what we live on.
Right.
I've never been to space. I've never seen it. I know what a fisheye lens does to a lot of things, and it makes things look like a ball. That's all I know.
I know that the pictures that come from NASA from
They are admitted to
pictures
be
of the Earth are all
CGI.
CGI
the-
generated.
in places.
There is no real picture from space. They fully admit that.
So why?
Why? Exactly. Why?
What's
right?
the reason behind it? Give me something I can understand. I can buy.
That's
I don't buy
all-
the other crap. So I may not know what it isn't, but I definitely know what it isn't.
Right.
And then we can go down that rabbit hole a lot longer, but
That is
We
that is
could-
a,
we probably
We don't
should.
have the time.
We probably shouldn't.
that subject alone has been I've been in conflict in my mind with that subject for
Yeah,
many
same.
years. The whole globe
Well,
flat
because
Earth.
from the time you're born, you've got a mobile of a freaking Earth and the solar system above
Yeah.
your crib. Like, that's all you know.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it's not what we're on. I'm just saying I'm not quite sure.
I
if
don't
it's
think
what
it's
we're
quite
on.
what we're told what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because why? History is written by the victors or those in power.
Mm-hmm.
And all we have to go by is what they say. You know, look at World War III that you wanted to talk about, right?
Yeah.
How many times have we watched footage of it being a video game footage saying that it's missiles being striked on a certain country from somebody else,
This is a Ghost of Kiev.
which is exactly what that was.
Was it-
I mean, that was
that was a
Air
joke.
Force videos, the Ghost
Yeah,
of Kiev.
Ghost of
and-
Kiev.
yes,
Yeah.
That was Air Force videos. You know, then you've got all the missiles being
That was
rained
from
on.
a
That was
game
a video
called Arma
game.
3,
Exactly.
and it was very convincing for many people.
But mainstream media put that out like it was truth. And now you expect me to believe everything I've ever been told? I can't.
Yeah.
I literally can't at this point. I
You know-
believe nothing.
I want a simple explanation, right? To the simplest question. And I don't have advanced knowledge of stuff, so you would need both people in the room, not one person to say, because that's just the way it is.
And that's just what the news said.
But when you have someone who says here, point A to point B is X amount of miles away, the Earth's curve does this. Point B should be X amount of thousands of
still not
miles
flat.
below the curvature of the Earth. You should not be able to see it with the
Yep.
naked eye.
And you can see it.
We're 20 miles away, or we're 200 miles away, or whatever it is, right? Can you see that object? No, that's because of the curve of the Earth. Okay, great. And all of a sudden, this guy comes in and goes, hold on a second. I'm going to take this salt shaker and I'm going to run down the hall with it. Does it get bigger or smaller the further away from you I get? It'll get smaller. Am I on a curve? No. Okay. Look through this lens. And it's 200 miles away. And all of a sudden, what do you see? There's the structure that should be 2,000 miles below the curve of the Earth. You should see it because you're on this side, it's on this side, and the curve goes up and down like this.
So you shouldn't be able to see it,
So
but you
why
do.
do you see it? I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't. I'm not saying that guy's right and that guy's wrong. I'm saying, tell me why
You're able to
It's
see
not
it.
doing what
can
you
see
said.
it and it's
Yeah.
not doing what you're saying. Oh, this is the math wrong? Are the calculations wrong? What's going on?
Right.
Nobody wants to actually break it down. They just want to go, you're crazy. You're an idiot. You think that the world is flat. And I don't. I don't think it's flat. I don't think it's round. I don't know what it is right now. I just want to answer the damn question.
Mm-hmm.
Just answer the question.
Mm-hmm.
But you will never get. That's like too easy. It's the same thing when it comes to a lot of things like the jab, with all the doctors that came out.
Well,
instead of getting them in a room with the other doctors that disagree with them and say, let's talk this out because you've got the same degree, you've got the same degree.
Mm-hmm.
Why is your opinion very different than your opinion? Where's your data? Where's your data? Let's figure this out. And instead they go, shut up. Shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Or you'll lose your damn
You're
license.
crazy.
That's right.
You
Yeah, or
conspiracy
you lose-
theorists,
yeah.
So who's right?
you flat earther.
They're right all day long. Because you're trying to silence them. You're not trying to
course.
find out why they think the way they think.
You shouldn't silence people who are just
Dangerous,
asking questions.
slippery road. So why do people believe in flat Earth? Because no one can answer the questions enough that convinces the people who think the Earth is flat to say, "Oh no, it is round."
But there are plenty of people who can disprove their arguments, which is very interesting.
Yep.
So for
Or
any,
throw enough
for,
question
for,
into
no,
them.
for anybody who's interested, there is an app called the Flat Earth app. And you can get it on Google or like whatever on your iPhone or whatever. And Flat Earth Dave is a guy who's on YouTube and Rumble. Very interesting dude. Very interesting app. What the app does is it compiles videos from all kinds of people. Like it's not like his group of people. It's hundreds of people, if not thousands of people across the country, across the globe, not the country, across the globe, who do experiments and who debate and who show you why certain things that happen on our Earth that prove the opposite of what we've been taught in school.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting.
So I have a wild thought on why all of this is. Like, why is there a possible deception between globe Earth and flat Earth? Why there's a deception between why we don't know, or why we think that we don't know what the UAP UFO thing is, phenomena is. What is artificial intelligence? What is God? What is the spirit? What is the soul? All of these things, all of these phenomena, all of these anomalies that have existed throughout human history, and why do the globalists exist, and why are they very successful at doing what they're able to do, but also having a lot of opposition on what they're trying to do. There is a ton of opposition. I mean, we're in this room, we're talking about this. There's many of us that are talking about similar things like this, that are trying to be, that are making the best effort to be against anti-free speech, against there are people out there that are against the nuclear family, and there are those that are fighting to keep the nuclear family intact. The whole transgenderism and all that stuff, the whole ideology behind that. And I know that's a whole other conversation
Well, that's
with a lot of
connected to AI.
with a lot of
Yeah.
with a lot of depth and all that stuff. So my thought process on this is why do any of these things exist? And I think it has a lot more than just to stir the pot on keeping people divided. I think it's way more deeper than keeping people divided. I think it's way more deeper than just being full-blown deceiving on the truth in the info war that we have, because I think the globalists are, and I do believe that there's evidence of this, that there's family bloodlines that have been in existence for at least the last 2,000 years that have been in consistent power. And there have been power struggles throughout this, but they have been in consistent power, and it's because they have advanced knowledge. And I don't mean advanced knowledge that they are some advanced species per se, but that they have been able to withhold knowledge from the public, because I do think that they know that something is coming, and that something that is coming is whatever that's created all of this. And I do think that they're utilizing the division between us, and I do think that they're utilizing the technological age of artificial intelligence to develop some type of deception weapon to deceive, I'm using this loosely, but the lesser critical thinking minds that are in the fight but aren't quite, and could be manipulated into thinking that they could be overthrown, such as some of some of the people that we have seen that have had to take the COVID vaccine or whatever, not the vaccine, chemical weapon, the jibby jab, and some people have folded, and I do think that they expect more people to fold under a false blue beam.
I was gonna say, do you know what Project Bluebeam is?
Yes.
Because like every time we talk, like we brought up aliens, I'm like, I gotta ask that question because if you don't, if anybody listening doesn't know what Project Bluebeam is, definitely look into it. But it was a military operation meant to hit the Argentinians, and they were gonna project an image of Mother Mary to talk like persuade them into rebelling against their government, and that was our government. Kennedy, who was going to do that, and he actually stopped it after they had already left to go to do that. And if you look at all the videos of like the whales and stuff, think for a second, if we don't live on a globe and space is fake and gay, how are there aliens, right? Other than to be projected through this Project Bluebeam. I'm going to honestly say that if we have a quote unquote alien invasion that happens to this country, I don't necessarily think that it is. Do I think that it could happen? I do believe that there is intelligent life that we do not know about. But if there's something coming from space, I think it is our government.
Yes.
Like,
if they come from the moon, they're definitely Nazis. There's 2 movies about it. I do think that the elite globalists have mad scientists somewhere developing these types of deception weapons to where they can manipulate the public by making them think that whatever that is actually really coming, to make an enemy out of that, which is here to be benevolent, not malevolent.
to be afraid of it.
Am I using those 2 terms right?
Yes.
Benevolent is good, right?
Benevolent is good. Malevolent is bad.
Malevolent is evil.
So they want us to think about Independence Day.
Right. Yeah.
When we see the big
Right. So when
lights in the sky.
so when the lights in the sky actually come and they're there,
that's called predictive programming.
I do think that they were going to be. I do think that they're going to utilize some type of deception weapon to make us think that that's actually the enemy when it's really not.
Or what was the other one?
And we're going to be
War of the
sadly
Worlds.
mistaken. Yeah, we're going to be sadly mistaken.
AI.
My goodness, there's so many topics to go into
Like, we could do
on
this
all of this stuff, and I definitely want to retract to some of these things, but I think the globe flat Earth thing is a topic that we should continue on at a later time.
Yeah.
And really go into that because I think there's a lot of deception
I
on
feel like
that.
we didn't even talk
Tartaria
about
ties in with that too.
I love Tartaria.
So so is there anything?
Mud floods and the orphan trains.
The orphan
and,
trains.
Like, come on, we could go all day long, but we didn't even really hit on our 2030 or our
so
AI like we should have. So
we could go into that.
we got to do this again.
If you have 10, 15 minutes, we could throw in on it.
Well,
It's all up to
I
you.
think the only thing that I
Can
would
wrap
add
a
to that
topic in
is
15 minutes? I don't think so.
no, it's
Yeah, we
hard,
can't.
but I think people need to understand the connection between the 2030 agenda, the AI agenda, and the trans agenda. Seeing this how that's been pushed so hard is the 2030 agenda with the AI agenda it is very, very much intermingled. It is very important because.
Yes.
Because with the 2030 agenda, they want less population. They want a population they can control, and through AI, they can accomplish that.
Yep.
Right? And then to get to AI, we have to accept that we are non-binary.
You don't identify as either or.
But that's the connection, literally.
Yeah.
So they're grooming a population, like everybody's saying,
They're trying to
they're
make us into
grooming,
grays.
they're grooming, right? So that these
big head, almond
pedophiles
eyes, small
can get
mouths,
to these
yeah.
kids, and while that's true in a sense, the ultimate goal is to groom a population to accept the fact that we have no genders and we can become AI.
Yeah, you know, I agree with this because I'm trying to remember her name. I follow her. She lives in New Hampshire, and she was talking about she's a podcaster, and she's on YouTube all the time. What the hell is her name? But anyhow, she's saying that people think that we're trying to trans the kids, and she says no, they're trying to create them to be non-binary,
Exactly.
to be to get that way, so that because you got to remember, to kill the binary, and then also to be anti-capitalist.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's the big thing. So if you're
Think about communist Russia. You were comrade.
Centralizing,
Right? Man
or
centralizing
woman,
everything.
comrade.
Yes.
but I mean, what I one of the things that I fight with the woke on, or I lovingly call the woke tards, is
So much love.
Oh yeah, no, and it's because I grew up a liberal, so I don't really hate those, and I know I don't hate those people, and
You
I'm
weren't
always
put here to hate, Joshua.
huh.
You weren't put here to hate.
No, I don't, and I don't feel that way. Although I do get
I don't hate
frustrated.
anybody.
I
Right,
get frustrated.
but with trans women are women, and I'm like, okay, so where do you think that term "woman" originally referred to? It's what they would call, and I'll use their terminology, cis women, biological women. The word woman is not just a feeling floating around. Now, I admit that different cultures, maybe women are more aggressive, and then other cultures, women are more docile, right? I think the culture, the social construct that they bring up as gender is a social construct, which I'm sure you...
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. I agree to a point, but then biology's the other side of that coin.
Right.
Well, you ignore science, or you follow science until that point.
But
right
what
there.
they do is because there's a because they want to be inclusive. There's another word, right? They go, well, there are people who have different chromosomes, and there are people who are borderline cases. So no, it's not just XX and XY. And I'm like, yeah, but we know with a high rate of accuracy. I believe that you're a man. like not even believe like.
with a high rate of accuracy.
No, it's true, and when I confront them, they fight on that, and it seems that the ultimate goal. And there's a leftist YouTuber named Vosh, who was talking to another person one time, and he's like, "I think we should get rid of the binary." And then I was like, Carlin Borisenko is her name, Carlin from New Hampshire.
Shout out to Carlin.
Yeah, no, she's great.
That was a synapse automatically working right there.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
Yeah, stoner minds. So he said, I want to get rid of the binary, and I'm like, she's right. It's right. Now I don't know how much their bodies are going to change, but at least get them to
Accept the
accept
fact.
that.
To accept that
that
they're
ideal.
not, that they're either or.
Now
right?
you're getting people who
Neither, rather.
right, who think they're non-binary, cutting off their chest, which includes the nipples, and I don't know why. This is, you can go on Instagram and see a lot
Yeah,
of this.
I have
this is
seen
real.
that
It's a real
stuff.
thing.
Yeah.
And I know a girl who went through that. And I'm like, wow, like you're making yourself like a doll.
Yes.
And in the same time, they're
yeah,
talking
wow.
about getting
I
rid
didn't
Now,
even
now
think of
think
that.
of that from
I
an
didn't even think of
AI
that.
perspective.
getting rid of toxic masculinity, which in
that would
itself
make
is getting
sense.
rid of the masculine man,
Yes.
right? How do you exist in a world that needs to be defended? You have to transition to something that is in a non-binary state, like
Yeah.
you said. 'Cause
Absolutely,
if you
they don't
start
want
getting
men
rid of
defending,
the toxic
right.
masculine, the
Give me
toxic
some
men,
toxic masculinity
the men
any
that are
day.
the heads of household.
We
that-
need more
that
toxic
Yes.
protect their
masculinity.
family, you have a weakened state, and now if you have a weakened state, if you
That
don't-
ruins
if you
your
don't
what was
become
that? Your
something
nuclear
else,
family,
yeah.
Nuclear
everything.
family, yeah.
If you don't become
100%.
something else that's AI, that's not attached physically to this world, you're going to get overrun by the countries that are saying, we don't buy into that crap, and look at the U.S. right now. Let's get it.
Now, if you have a population that, if you will, is the human 2.0, that is AI, that is easily controlled, that can be your slave system,
That's non-binary, right?
that is non-binary,
Not connected
you
to
get
its own
rid of your middle
biology.
class,
Yep.
and you have a high class and a serving class. And that serving class is that AI class that does what you need it to do because you've injected it with a jab and you've done all these modifications to it
Well,
and you've
yeah,
made
you
it unable
could-
to reproduce.
Right. You could modify individually to tailor to the work that you need done.
You got that.
Right?
You've got
So
that
you can
goyim
use your
exactly where you need it to be.
transhumanism so you need someone to hear well. You've got a transhuman,
Do you
ability.
remember the
right?
movie The Man of Steel? The one that the one most recent.
Yes.
Do you remember
Superman,
what
right?
Krypton was all about?
Yeah.
Yep.
Krypton was all about artificially creating babies in
Yep.
a classification to excel in a specific workforce.
Yep.
This is the scientist. These are the farmers.
Yep.
These are what.
Oh, you
That's
mean
the
like the
agenda
Hunger Games?
behind transhumanism
Yes.
is to be able to make us into what they need us to be.
and Superman,
is
Cal,
the
right,
Agenda
Yep.
2030.
was the very first baby in how many millennia in Krypton
That was natural.
born
It was
naturally,
natural birth, yeah.
right, and had all the codex to hit there is civilization's DNA. They call it codex.
Right.
Shot him away because they realized
guy over here.
that's not what's right. That's not. Life is going to find a way. It's Jurassic Park.
Predictive programming.
Yes.
One more thing that I thought of that I think will add a lot to this is I work in cannabis in Uxbridge. And thank you for all the weirdo lefties that doxed me recently. But anyhow,
Losers.
yeah. So
Nothing better to do.
yeah, I thought that was interesting. I was waiting for it, and it came.
Hi, my name is Megan. This is Joe. That's Josh. That's Meg.
So I work for a company called Cresco. There you
Dox
go.
us away.
So
Shout outs to Crushco.
yeah.
We're in the critical thinking
So
cult over
what
here.
what do I do? We make clones. Why do we make clones? Because clones are
Yes.
all like each other and they're predictable. So when I grow Sugar Plum Sunset, I want to take a clone from that mother and make them exactly, Now let's look at this. How do I feed them? Well, we don't give Tim his. Let's say Tim's a clone. We don't give him, what you need, right? We give you a generalized diet. Just the food pyramid. Oh, it's just it's all the same for everybody. You see what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
you're not getting which would make the individual grow
We can
in
totally
the
talk
way
about
that
the food
God
pyramid.
would want it. No. So we all give it this bland feed. Those that don't make it, sorry kid, killed. That's
Gotta cull
we're
that shit.
already, but we're already doing it. I'm already doing it just in a plant world.
But if you think for a second
they-
that
but-
that's not happening on another level
No,
that
no,
we
no,
don't know
sure.
about,
But-
like
and
We've
by
been
the
able
way,
to clone mice.
even with
we've
the
been
sheep-
cloning animals for years.
Like,
even
sheep in
even
the
with
60s,
that,
right?
Yes.
yeah,
it's
even
been
with
going on a long
that,
time.
there are
Dolly, was
still
that her name,
individuals.
Mm-hmm.
It still happens. Like even though you try to control it, that wildness.
You're saying life wins.
oh, you mean
Oh,
I was
oh,
gonna say
oh,
I was like, you mean creation wins, yeah.
Life finds
yeah,
a way.
yeah, because they're not all perfect.
But they're
Yeah, for
sure
sure
as
they're not.
hell trying.
Oh, we wish they could be absolutely perfect and produce the same.
I am perfect. So are you. So are you. So are you.
Our
and so are
perfection
you.
is not rooted in the world.
Perfectly
Let's put it that
imperfect.
way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Joe Brillan's taking the lead here like the alpha male that he is.
Oh no, I just
are-
it's just been left open.
He
I
is
don't-
an alpha
Oh,
male.
he's such an alpha. I love it.
Yeah.
We're heading into
He has to
some
be.
extremely, extremely strange times, and I think that's very much understated. And so to close the show out, what is everyone's consensus on where exactly, with everything that's been discussed, and with everything that we know, also, what do we think that the actual end game is, and is there something that can turn this around to where it actually works in the favor of the people rather than the favor of globalists?
Yes.
Okay.
Anarchism.
Anarchism.
Yes.
Josh.
Yeah. You know I was going to bring it at some
I
point.
did.
Anarchism.
Well, she said, what is the point of all this? Centralization of power.
Yeah.
Anarchism is the opposite of centralization of power. And by the way, and there's different, is ANCAP and anarcho-communism. I think under anarchism, diversity, which the woke-tards want, would actually happen economically. So if you want to live by the river and not make capital and not become a capitalist and you just want to trade and do that hippie stuff, under anarchism, as long, you could. If you want to be a very aggressive Trump guy, I'm gonna make this business and kill it and everything like that, you cannot have the state. I'm sorry. I think it's in violation of freedom. Of
For someone to be able to be.
how can Dan McKee tell me to force me to get a fucking jab? Why are
Oh,
you?
yeah,
why
yeah,
are
yeah.
you
No,
even?
no, yeah,
but
yeah,
why
yeah,
is
yeah.
that? Why does that
It's an
position of
illusion,
power?
right?
Why does
It's
that
a social
position of power
construct.
I
even
agree with
exist?
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that.
So
I agree with that. That shouldn't exist.
conservatives
No
go-
one should ever say that you have to get something or you have to give up something. Like no one should say like, hey, you have, say, for instance, an AR-15. Well, I don't think you should have that, so you should give it up.
Come and take it.
Yeah, exactly.
But what else does this
No
state
one, no
do?
man or woman should be able to say to somebody that you can't have that.
Because those rights were given
If
to
you're
you
not-
by natural law. They're in your inalienable rights, and a man did not, or a human being did not give them to you, therefore a human being cannot take them away from
Right,
you.
exactly.
Natural
Exactly.
law.
So,
100%.
what other
As
job
long as
does
you
the
are not-
state have?
as long as
what
you're
else
not
does
har-
the state do but
Exactly.
take away rights?
We
Exactly.
give them that power.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's the
then
problem
if
is
we take
because
that power away, what's their other job?
they don't have one.
Right, so they don't need to exist.
Exactly.
Right.
Point, boom,
Now,
Joshua.
now,
Yeah,
I
that's
agree with
very-
you,
very good
Josh,
point.
100%. But we have to have a little bit of understanding that you can't just directly go into chaos.
Yeah. We do
Okay,
have to have
now,
some
granted,
form of order.
I have enough guns, and I would be happy playing the Wild Wild West, and I would survive, and I know I would. But it would
It's-
also create a lot of victims. So you have to have some kind of something in place. I don't know what it is.
What do we have now, though? We have victims now.
No, but we
We
do.
have that
100%,
situation now.
100%.
Yeah.
But there are going to be crazy people out there who are going to do whatever they want to do. And you know that just because we know that because when you put gun laws in place, the bad guys are still going to get the guns. The people who aren't are the ones who are going to abide by the laws.
So
now,
what do
that's
you
the
think,
same.
Megan? What do you think
I'm
we
not
need?
saying I have an answer other than the fact that I think the in between would be a social structure in a way that is more. For example, our state in Rhode Island, when we have elections, they are supposed to be certified by the town, and that town is supposed to understand and know the people in its town. The state is not supposed to do that. The state is trying to make that centralized. The whole government is trying to make everything centralized so they can control it all. If you take that centralization
The town is the
away,
state.
agreed, because they've taken control of it, right? But if the problem is that we have so much corruption, it
So you think localized, much more localized.
extremely small.
Yeah,
like
I do think that if
I
it's
would
more
trade with
localized,
my
it'd be
neighbors, right?
Yes.
Like
more
Absolutely.
well contained.
because you have to
localized.
have something in place
She-
to protect the people who
she-
can't protect themselves.
Right, and that,
Whoa.
the part of masculinity
There
is
are
to
people-
That's
protect the
almost
weak.
commie
See,
talk
there you go.
right there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's
Per,
not.
that's a perfect statement. He just said it. Say it again.
One of the points of masculinity is to
Protect the weak.
Thank you.
Agreed. The
Yeah.
problem
Right.
is they've gotten rid of it.
What I'm saying though is if the state went away tomorrow, people have
Chaos.
a fear. People have a fear that it's going to be
No, we
chaos.
do-
I'm
we get back
saying
into
I'm
tribalism.
saying no. We are social beings, and we are going to fill the gaps pretty quickly for food security.
Agreed. For those that are prepared. For those that are prepared.
No, I'm saying
100%.
everybody. I'm saying everybody.
There are people who have no idea. No idea. Look at the people who live in California. Look at the people who live in New York. They will not survive. There will. I understand. And do I?
warlords would
do
take
I,
over.
Do I feel bad that people would die? Yes. But at the same time, am I a survival of the fittest person? Hell yes. And I understand that we would lose people, but I don't think that there are people out there like you who understand. Not an insult. Who understand the loss that we will suffer if you do that. There will be a lot of people who die.
I disagree. I agree with you in that I think that people have been trained so long that they don't know what to do, and that's going to create some chaos. I don't think it's going to be as bad as you think.
If our borders were closed, I would agree with you. Because they are not, I can't. You want to talk about the whole World War III thing? We're bombing other countries left and right, and where are those people going? They're coming into our country. So if people who care about that country are able to get in here freely and damage us from the inside, which they've always said they were going to do, we have a problem.
And there's evidence
The
of it,
moment
too.
our government falls, and while I believe that they are also controlling this situation and they want this to happen, it would be chaos.
It's chaos now.
Yes and no.
So
It's controlled.
I think at first to do something that radical, yes, in the midst of it there would be chaos immediately at first. But I do think that
But by the way, Tim, anarchism is what we're doing right now.
sure,
I
absolutely,
agree with it.
100%.
Yeah,
I
it's
want you to
not a-
understand that I
yeah.
don't. I do agree with you. I think the system has to go. It can't be fixed. None of the systems can be fixed. They are not broken. They are working as they were designed to
Yeah.
work.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's
Exactly.
against
For
us.
sure.
And I
Right.
agree
Right.
with you. But you have to understand the loss that's
So
going
we
to
would-
happen.
So in order to do something like that, to speak in both of the favor right here, is that we would have to set up something in order to prepare for
And I
something
have no
that
idea
radical.
what that is.
Right.
I don't have an answer.
And I don't even think there's any way to fully prepare for something of that magnitude anyway.
Right.
If
But-
people
but
thought like
if-
us, if 90% of the population thought like us, we'd succeed.
Oh, for sure. Like
But
it
do you
wouldn't
think
it wouldn't
that
even be
50% of the population administration thinks like we do, exactly.
It
It'd
wouldn't
be
even
chaos.
be. It wouldn't even be an issue. I mean, we'd have little skirmishes or of something of some sort like that, but it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be to the scale of like, shit. We're dealing with what 11? How many million? I think it's like 300,000 since December. Probably more than that now. At the border or whatever, we have to deal with that issue. We also have to deal with everybody else. Everybody else.
Well, right. And if we started with Rhode Island, though, by the way, the lefties want this too.
The
The lefties want it too.
So, but wait a minute. If we decide to cut off our government and our government says, oh, hey, guess what? We're going to stop your cargo ships. How are you going to eat?
Mm-hmm.
And do you think people are going to not flip out when they can't get food? Because they don't
Yeah,
know
so
how to
that's
grow their
another
own
problem.
food because you aren't taught that in
'Cause
school.
even the
You have
same-
no idea how to harvest food. You have no idea how to grow food. You don't know anything about chickens. You don't know anything.
Even the
and I don't
same
mean you, I'm
even the
talking in
same
general.
anarchy groups, even the same groups that would believe in a type of anarchism or a getting away of a government would become feral to that point too.
I can harvest, I can grow my own crops, I can kill my own chickens, and I'm still worried about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think that if we all decided, let's say Rhode Island, because it's
Yeah.
small and it's more manageable. If we said basically, I want to fire the government.
Stop paying
Yeah.
taxes.
We can prove if we sat for a year and came up with all the times the government has fucked us, we'd have a case that can't lose and nobody
Right.
could deny it.
If you had non-corrupt judges.
No. I'm just saying to the
Yeah.
public. I don't
If
care.
they listen, but that's the problem. They don't listen because they're controlled by the government and they listen to mainstream media.
So then it goes into the conversation of like when you don't have the actual people that would follow through with judicial with the judicial procedure, then you have to put hands on. The people have to put hands on.
I'm just trying to change minds.
And now
I'm
we're
not-
talking
yeah.
about very
change minds all you
very
want.
very dirty things by saying that, because then you get into the conversations of like, oh, these people are rising up to be
Right, they're seditious.
I
Which is
think-
not true.
there you go.
I think
we're
you're
not,
doing a
we're
great
not
job.
committing the treason. They've committed it.
Right.
Those heads belong
I
on
do.
spikes.
I got a lot of work
Right.
Yeah.
No,
ahead of me.
but I think your head is on, like, your head is in the right place. I understand. And I think that changing minds is very important. But you have to also think about what comes next.
I think things come in
that's
stages.
hard.
I think it has to be. You know how globalists work in stages as so far what we have seen. We have to also try and get other people behind that type of mind frame, because there's going to be a lot of scared people during a situation like that.
There are people who just
Scared
don't even
people
know.
are are not good to want to deal with.
Yeah.
To not even try and manage. I mean, I've worked in security in a hospital, and those were mental patients. Imagine just regular people being completely fucking scared out of their mind because they don't have any source of protection, or they don't feel protected. They don't know where the food's going to come from because they don't know how to do it.
Very dangerous.
Very dangerous. We're dealing with, and these are going to be good people, quote unquote good people that we would have to deal with.
I just think economics would take over very fast, and I think people.
economics would be
if
destroyed.
we're able to get
Well, you're assuming that. See, this is what I don't agree with. I think that what would happen is if Rhode Island was like, we're anarchists now, there's no government, right?
Right.
She's saying and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that that the rest of the world is just not going to deal with us. And I'm like, they still want our money and our shit. Like, they still want to do. I'm saying they're still going to deal with us. They're just going to be like, okay, this is different now. Now, if they stopped, what would that do to the world? What would Vermont think? Be like, holy shit, these people succeeded, and then they just let them starve? What do you think? What kind of revolution would that start if everybody? You got to think about that too. The other states are watching, being like, holy shit.
If
like,
Rhode Island tried to secede,
yeah,
it would fail miserably because it has nothing to go for itself. If Texas seceded, which it has in it's when it became a part of the United States, part of the agreement was that if Texas ever wanted to secede, it could. That's a part of the whole joining of the
In the
United
Texas
States.
Constitution.
And they would survive. Why? Because they have oil, they have the sea, they have trucking, they have mining, they have everything. Rhode Island does not have that.
I'm saying-
so. Rhode Island cannot survive economically on its own.
I'm saying it's things just don't stop. I'm claiming
but
it's
if
not
you
going to
if you
stop.
cut off the government, you cut off ties to other countries.
No, they'll deal with us through us.
But who are our leaders?
But you have to put that in place.
Or does you know what I mean? Like, how are you gonna protect your land?
Like is all of a sudden
It's
Argentina going to
private
talk to you
security.
about coffee?
Hmm?
Like is all of a sudden Argentina going to talk to you about coffee?
Yeah, they're going to want our money. They're just
But,
not going to
but
go
who
through
are
this.
they? But who are they going to talk
So-
to?
So let's.
Yeah.
I can't provide you. Okay,
Exactly.
I can't provide you all those answers.
So there
I
has
just
there
think-
has to be a system.
The
There has to
bottom,
be something.
the
Yeah,
bottom
yeah.
line
No,
is
I think
in
there'll be
order for
systems,
and
yes.
you don't like what I'm going to say because you're not going to like the
But
word I'm going to choose. but
anarchy is against systems.
correct. And if you're
No,
going
it's
to,
not. No, it's not. That's false.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not against authority. It's not against systems. It's saying there's no centralization of power known as the state.
But if
stealing from us and fucking robbing us and telling us what to do.
so you don't want to corrupt government 100%. But there
think-
has to be.
but there's
there
going to be
has to
some
something.
semblance of governance.
We would devolve into tribalism, which I don't personally have a problem with.
But again, my point. I don't have a problem with that
How to
either.
govern itself.
It's just you can't
I would-
have Rhode Island.
I would check out Michael
anymore.
Malice's work. He's way more brilliant than I am about this. I'm a baby
I don't know, you're
anarchist.
pretty
Yeah, I know
brilliant,
I know
Josh.
Michael Malice. I think okay, so I think this is another topic that we could probably go into
Yeah, I know.
much
Yeah.
much more deeper.
I agree with you though, Josh. On the face value of everything, I agree.
I
with
think
you.
everything
No, I
that's
know.
been discussed has brought a lot of. I mean, I know a lot of it has to be, has a lot to do with speculation. There's also hard evidence of things that are going on and have been going on. There's conversations that require a lot more depth in targeting on that, such as the flat Earth, global
everything.
global concept of whatever this is that we're living on. Also, the whole concept of anarchy and getting away from the state and all that stuff. I totally agree with getting away from the state. We have to. There has to be a plan set, and people have to be on board with it. It can't just be like.
It has to be united. Imagine
It has to be.
that.
It would have to be a united thing, and then it has to just sweep across the nation to just get rid of whatever the shit that's going on over there
Yes.
at the White House in Washington. But all right, I think we discussed a lot, and we've gone on for almost 3 hours, so that's good timing.
Whoop, whoop.
I think that we should continue on these conversations.
Yeah, we definitely need to have another show.
Yeah, we definitely have to have another show because according to the comments,
And, like,
there's some
15
people
more
out there that have
probably.
been,
Oh, we got
that have
comments.
been loving it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that have been loving it on what's going on.
Well, I
shout
think
outs to Daniela. Shout outs to Nyoka. Shout outs to
Naoka Powell.
Nyoka Powell.
Hi, Nyoka.
That's from the Facebook and nobody.
Well,
chimed in
I
on
would
that.
say that
All
if
right.
you guys got ideas, throw them in there, and we'll talk about them next
Yeah,
time.
definitely. Everyone that's listening, rather, you can post in the comments section on Facebook, Rumble. Go to Rumble, and then this is going to later be uploaded on Spotify. So make sure that you like, share, subscribe on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Rumble. On TikTok, True_Warface. What are the other social medias? That's it so far, I think, if I'm thinking off top. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I appreciate everybody that came here and joined in on the conversation.
Yeah, thanks
and
for having us.
Thank you, Tim. That was
Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely.
the first episode of the TruSpiracy Chronicles. Thank you for actually bringing that to light because that's been something that I've been wanting to do, and I'm glad that everyone was able to make it on board.
Awesome.
But yeah, like, share, subscribe, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook. Are there any links that anyone can, if people wanted to follow anybody?
We'll throw this on Renegade Minds.
Renegade Minds on Rumble, right?
Yep.
On Rumble,
Yep.
YouTube,
We're on X. We're
On X,
Rumble.
yep,
We're
I'm
on
on-
BitChute.
BitChute, X,
Just look up Joshua Joseph.
Joshua
Josh is
Joseph.
like, I'm on Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm a simple girl, Tim.
Okay, all right. No, don't go by, don't go bothering the ones that don't want to be. But yeah, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Like I said, like, share, subscribe on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Rumble. Make sure you follow everybody on Rumble. Renegade Minds on Rumble, and I
Keep thinking
appreciate
for
y'all.
yourselves, man.
Yeah, keep thinking for
That's
yourself.
right.
Critical thinking is
Join
important
that critical thinking cult.
before it becomes illegal,
Yeah.
because that's coming soon, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate y'all. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right.